5, 6, 7, 8 partings.
It's time for us to part, y'all.
We're not parting with anything. They're parting with us.
I know, it's true. All right.
Oh,
okay. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Gilmore to Say with Tara and Haley. I'm Tara. This is Haley. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Tara.
Today is a special episode because we normally do Gilmore Revisited, which is our Patreon series going through the series of Gilmore Girls.
Series, Gilmore Girls, if you will.
We usually do this segment, Gilmore Revisited, for our Patreon members only, but because this is such a special episode, we decided to put it on air. So hi to all our besties. Welcome to Gilmore Revisited. I know that we have put some of our Gilmore Revisited episodes up on air, but this one's particularly special because this is a milestone. This is Haley's favorite episode, we think. Oh my God, she covered her mouth. If you're not with us on YouTube, she covered her mouth.
It's because I'm nervous. I think it's just because it's later in the day, because we're doing this at night. We're doing it live with our Visage Trollops. If you want to join Visage Trollops, you can do live recordings with us.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love that they're here.
My eyes start to water in the evening if I'm wearing mascara.
Oh.
And so I have this feeling that I'm crying, but I'm not. My eyes are watery. So I'm predisposed to cry during this episode. But it's more than just because it's my favorite episode, which I think that came about because talking about it on TikTok, I talked about this episode a lot because there was just so much to talk about in it because it's Amy's last episode in the original series.
It is a milestone episode for that reason as well.
Yeah.
It's Amy and Dan's last episode before we get their
Before
revival.
we get the revival. Yeah. And so I think that through TikTok in a much different way, I was looking at this episode so closely that I fell in love with it and it became my favorite episode in a much different way than we watch it for Patreon, which sometimes my favorite episodes, I started to go still my favorite episode, but is it great?
Especially with season 6.
Especially with season 6. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you're not on Patreon watching season 6
controversially, well, we'll have our thoughts on that next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this one was tough. I sobbed.
Yeah. I used to watch this episode every night before bed.
Oh my God.
Literally every night. I just would turn it on and I just became background noise and I'd just turn on partings and eventually I'd get at some point and wake up and it'd be in the middle of season 7. Sure. But but I would just like you do. But I just turned partings back on and it became my little sleep time routine, which is bad for you. That's not how you should fall asleep.
No, definitely not.
You shouldn't. But that's what I did. And so I stopped that. I think I want to say in season 2 of Gilmore Revisited.
You stopped.
I stopped watching it.
So you haven't watched it in years.
Yes.
You're telling me.
I haven't watched this in a really long time. I'm not going to cry. I'm not. But I just feel like I am.
That's okay.
So but this has been my favorite thing for so long. And I just cut myself off because I wanted it to feel in the moment. I wanted to feel it within the story, within the progression of episodes. So I've been so nervous to recap this one. I've mostly been nervous because I've talked the shit up about this episode.
That's so true. You've talked about how this is. Would you say that this, you don't have to say what your opinion is now just yet. You can tell us at the end. But leading up to this moment, would you have said that this was the best episode of Gilmore Girls?
The best episode of Gilmore Girls, I'm not sure. Because while it is my favorite, when we watched Wedding Bell Blues, it was nothing feels like that. And we can tear that episode apart, but for the most part, it's just so good. And I wouldn't necessarily say the best, but it's definitely really high up there. Some days I say it's the best episode, but sometimes it depends on what I want from it. A season 2 girly might get some vibes from this, but probably is not going to be the best ever. But still, it's just, I think it's a really good departure, the parting, if you will, from the Palladinos.
Before we really get into it, I'm going to cry.
Are we going to cry?
Yeah, I'm for sure going to cry during this episode. So exciting.
Watch on YouTube. Watch the tears fall.
It's just so what a beautiful homage to all the things that they've.
Yes. Tara's crying.
It's just so...
I'm not crying, I'm laughing.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, bittersweet.
Did you bring tissues?
No, I have nothing. I have my
Luna,
the sleeve of my shirt.
give us your paw.
Yeah, no, so here's the thing. It's very different for me. I never watched this episode and like didn't cut myself off from it. I just never watched it. And when you really think about it, there are just so many moments that are so emotional. And like, even just down to the title, Partings.
Like, why would you hit us like that?
Because like, if you don't know the lore of this episode, it maybe doesn't hit as hard because like, yeah, partings, you know, you've got Lorelai and Luke, you've got Rory and Logan. If you don't understand what this episode means to the actual lore of Gilmore Girls as a series, it's so important and pivotal. And this is their goodbye message.
Yeah. Oh,
at this moment.
Chills.
This is their goodbye message to the fans and to the show. And I think about everybody on set and like how they must have felt knowing or maybe not knowing that this was Amy and Dan's last episode. And there's so many Easter eggs in here that are just like so beautifully done. And for everything I've said about season 6 being like kind of not great, especially from Amy and Dan, who I love and respect and like I 9 times out of 10 really love their work, especially Amy. I have been really, really critical of this season. And this episode was just it was just really good. So, spoiler, I loved it.
Could you imagine? Tara's crying. 6 out of 10.
It was
Could
fine.
be better. It was fine. Whatever. I just also love all of our vicious trollops in the chat over here as this is happening.
I can't see them, but yes.
We've got Gabby saying, Haley loves trauma, pass it on. This is the So Long London episode of Gilmore Girls. It's a love letter from the Palladinos to the show. And they love it, which I love. I love that
it's just so good.
Our vicious trollops here is our support system as we make our way through.
Seriously, holding our hands through this.
Do you want to hold my hand?
Sure.
Like my finger, like holding space.
Holding space. So, this is season 6, episode 22, Partings. Written by Amy Sherman Palladino and Daniel Palladino, directed by Amy Sherman Palladino, and originally aired on May 9th, 2006. The box set description is goodbye. Oh my God.
No.
Why would they do this?
Why would they do that?
It just says goodbye.
Wait, that's it? That's a whole thing?
No, that's how they started.
I thought you were saying that was it. That was the whole...
Goodbye. The town troubadour departs Stars Hollow for his Neil Young gig, creating a stampede of would-be troubadours to town. Logan graduates and leaves for London, and the Lorelai Luke love affair may be ciao, adios, game over. Interesting. They put ciao and adios in italics. Was that a reference?
No, it's a different language.
Well, that I know. Vesuvi.
Vesuvi. Vesuvi.
Oh, Vesuvi. Okay.
This one has its own little Vesuvi, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a little Vesuvi. The Netflix description reads, Rory throws a graduation party for Logan, but their time together is bittersweet. Lorelai delivers an ultimatum to Luke. Oh, I forgot about the Hulu description.
Yeah, come on, we can't forget Hulu, our new friend Hulu.
God. Our new friend
plays it with the ads.
And their commercials. So the Hulu description reads, on the evening of Logan's graduation from Yale, Rory throws him a party. Realizing that she was wrong to let Luke postpone their wedding for so long, Lorelai delivers an ultimatum. Fantastic. I loved that. I thought that was really well done.
I liked where the box set was going, but it did not deliver. When you start with goodbye, like deliver something emotional afterwards. Don't let that be the peak of it. You know?
I have so many. I'm just going to cry this whole episode.
Love.
Hey, guys. Anyway, the chapter titles are 1, Super Quiet, credits. 2, East Coast Troubadour Community. Very real laugh. 3, Dog Sitter. 4, Edifice Complex. Yeah, Edifice Complex. Edifice? Edifice? Edifice. What is edifice?
Oedipus?
No,
complex?
Edifice. It wouldn't be a box set reading if I couldn't mispronounce something.
Yeah.
Edifice complex. All right.
What is that in reference to?
I don't know. I don't even know what edifice is. Edifice complex.
Someone has to tell us.
Oh, psychology. The term edifice complex was coined in the 1970s to describe Philippine First Lady Imelda Marcos's practice of using publicly funded construction projects as political and election propaganda.
Oh, the Rory Gilmore Astronomy Building.
That makes sense. Okay. 5 is paella, semicolon, chips. 6, ultimatum. 7, end credits.
Wait, those are so bad.
Those are pretty tough. Those are really, really bad. Yeah.
Really? Paella and chips?
Paella, semicolon, chips. Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
That's going to make me cry for different reasons.
Those are not good. Come on, there were so many good things to pull from.
I'm really sad because I'm now closing this.
Clarence Thomas.
Oh my God. I'm now closing this box set DVD. That makes me really sad.
Well, I mean, you close it every episode, but now you're closing it
I just mean for the last
and not
time.
going to pick it back up. Yeah.
Just mean for the last time. Well, maybe I'll pull it out for next week's episode when we do our season 6 recap. But those are the box set chapter titles. Not in love with them, but
no, not at all.
We'll give them different ones as we go along. Okay. So, anything that you want to talk about before we really dive in?
One of my favorite things about this episode, which I have a lot of favorite things about this episode.
I was going to say, let's share some fun facts.
Yes. One of my favorite ones is that this episode has a parallel beginning and ending. It starts Lorelai laying in one direction with people she knows, trying to tend to their kids and be really quiet and not wake her up. And this is the beginning before anything has happened. Super quiet, if you will. Which is funny that was the chapter title, because that's what I wrote down, was super quiet. That's like basically all I wrote down for this. Yeah.
There's really not much to write down. But yeah, this has a nice parallel opening ending, which I just thought was so beautiful. But the other fun fact that I wrote down was that there were 50 credited actors in this episode, which is insane. And I think it's because of all the troubadours, but I think that is a very beautiful kind of nod to the fact that this was in a lot of ways a celebration of the work that Amy and Dan had done and the things they love. Yes, exactly.
Because that's so much of what like the references are in the show, are just like things they love. Like we like have running lists of like all of the things that Dan and Amy love.
Yeah.
And music is a big part of that.
Oh yeah. It's so beautiful. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, but we get this cold open that at first I was admittedly a little bit like, all right, this cold open was kind of not
it's
weird.
Fast.
It's fast. And it was a little too camp the way, I mean, Suki and Jackson in and of themselves are camp. We were talking about this, I think, in the last episode where they have the pot and the whole storyline there.
Yes.
And I was just like, this was a little too much for me. And the way they're talking to each other was just so like, I don't know, just like a little too obvious for me. They're, of course, getting ready for Davy to leave, maybe go to school, go to daycare, whatever it may be.
I imagine he goes to daycare because they both work.
Totally. Lorelai's laying on the couch, of course, and we're getting this from the Lorelai POV as we are going to at the end of the episode. And she wakes up to like very loud whispering. It's like whisper screaming. And that's the thing about it, is that it was like, so did she talk to you? No, she didn't talk to me. We just kind of sat, but I could tell she was somewhere else. It was like a little too obvious for me. However, for the art of it all, the way that we end this episode made me appreciate this cold open so much more.
Yeah.
It was definitely them trying to lean into the camp a little bit, and how like funny it is when like at the end of it all, Jackson at full volume goes, "Great job, son, high five."
Well, my favorite part of it is that the whole thing is like super quiet TV.
Super quiet TV.
You guys are the ones that are making the fucking noise.
I literally said, you're whisper screaming. You two just lost the game.
And I think that I appreciate this a lot more, like witnessing my sister get her kids out of the house. It's like, my girl, you're the one making the noise. It truly is you. Love you so, so much.
Love you.
But the kids are not as much the problem as you are.
100%. And that's the funny part, right?
Yeah.
So like you have to appreciate that and that is also
Davey,
their only appearance in this episode. Suki and Jackson's only appearance. We are not going to see them again for the rest of the episode.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Given the fact that Lorelai goes through a roller coaster range of emotions, and she has this big come to Jesus moment about Luke. Those conversations, we call it Suki Honesty Hour, are really the conversation she usually has with Suki, but she had to be extracted from that and talk to a complete stranger, Jan from The Office, to actually like really come to terms with the fact that like something is happening. We're starting this episode with Suki basically saying like, we sat there and she said everything was fine, but she wouldn't tell me anything. Meanwhile, she's about to have this catharsis in the backseat of Linny's car, which is just so fascinating to me that like Lorelai has this huge moment, and the one person who's usually her confidant in all of this, Suki, is not the one to be there for it.
Yeah, and I guess you can't. I mean, it really speaks to therapy in a way that they often make fun of, that like you need to talk to someone like that, because someone who like doesn't have any like, you know, any skin in the game, really, that they don't know anyone. It's just truly third party.
Totally. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I really wish that they had brought her back as the therapist.
I know. And I get it. Like they were doing a bit with Carrie Butler. Carrie Butler.
With her being the singer. But Melora Hardin can sing. Weird. She was on Dancing with the Stars. She was great.
Oh my God, you're so right.
So
they don't sing on Dancing with the Stars.
She sang in The Office. When they do the
baby shower.
Oh God. That's when they do the baby shower. You're so right. No, I'm thinking about the Threat Level Midnight episode where she's like she's singing in the lounge and she's like, the hostages are in the basement. Like, I don't remember what she says. She says something about where the hostages are.
Or where her assistant makes that CD and she's singing it.
Yes, it's so good. Hunter, I think is his name. Good. God, I love that show. I'm due for an Office rewatch. I just simply adore that show.
Yeah, that was my COVID show.
Bree just said she's got a great voice for jazz, which is so true. So I would have loved if we saw her.
But she also didn't have to come into the musical.
True. Because that never goes anywhere.
No, she could have just been the therapist. I would have loved it.
I would have loved to see that. Anyway, so that's the cold open we get, which is so pertinent to the way that we end this episode and a testament to Amy's brilliance.
Yeah.
After the opening credits, we go to Stars Hollow, where Taylor comes out of Weston's bakery. He's got a cutie little pink box. I love that this is like introducing us into what's happening with the town in this episode, which it wouldn't be a true like great Gilmore Girls episode, in my opinion, without the town factor. And I love how
I was thinking about that.
But
like I was like, in order for Tara to like it, we have to be in Stars Hollow.
It's got to be a townie episode in some way, and we do get that. We don't get so many townies. It's not like we get a ton of cameos, which I liked. I think it balanced things that like make it feel like the show without it feeling so in your face. And one of the things that I think is so cool is that the first person that speaks in this scene is an actress. Her name is Inger Jackson. And she says, "Morning, Taylor." And Taylor talks to her. And because I knew who was coming next, I was like, this person has to be a person. Because Inger walks by and says, "Morning, Taylor." And they're kind of talking. And then the next person who walks by, who Taylor talks to, Mrs. Oh gosh, I forget her name, but it's Patty, who is Lorelai, Lauren Graham's stand-in on the show. So I went back and looked up Inger Jackson.
Really?
Inger has been in several episodes of Gilmore Girls. She actually was one of the maids. Remember when Emily goes, "Thank you, Inger"? That is Inger. And Inger is Alexis Bledell's stand-in. So we start we start this scene out with him walking by Alexis's stand-in and then walking by Lauren's stand-in, which just
my gosh, I love that.
So special. And fun fact about Inger, not only did she play several bit parts on Gilmore Girls, she was also Alexis's photo double in Tuck Everlasting.
No way.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Patty, who is Lauren's stand-in. She's going to live forever. Like on Fame. Patty, who is Lauren's stand-in, she also, we see her a couple of times. She was in season 4 in The Incredible Singing and Lorelai's when Lorelai goes to get her hair done and she can't because Suki needed to approve the sink and she falls asleep because Davy fell asleep and Patty is washing her hair.
Oh, really?
At the sink. She's like, "What can you do for my hair in 3 minutes?" I didn't think so. And that's her. But what I also love is that when Taylor walks by Patty, and is talking to her. Not Miss Patty. Again, clarifying. This is Lauren Stanton, Patty Malcolm. She's wearing such a Lorelai outfit. She's got a little purse. It's so Lorelai.
She got a little baguette bag.
She's got a little baguette bag, and it's very cute. But anyway, this is setting us up for Taylor being in an absolutely fantastic mood. Top of the morning to you. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Like he's just, the sun is shining. Everything's great.
He's got little cakes or whatever's in his pink
He's got
box.
something in his cute little pink box. And then as he passes Stars Hollow Video, we see the first of many to come. Troubadour is setting up with his guitar case, and Taylor is appalled. He is like, by God, what is this person doing?
Yeah, he's beside himself. He's like, who is this man? This is not my troubadour. We had a whole town meeting about this previously. That we have one and one only.
One and one only. And
who is he? Do you know?
Yes, troubadour number 1 is Joe Pernice of the Pernice brothers. I don't know the Pernice brothers at all. In fact, I tried to do some like deep digging to see, because I wanted to know if every troubadour that they featured here was an artist of music that they've added to the show. I know that they have to be, I'm sure, either friends of the Paladinos, or the Paladinos are massive fans of theirs, because we have some really great people making guest appearances in this episode.
For the most part, I feel like the ones that they really focus on are artists that have been either mentioned by the Gilmore Girls or been playing in the show, or if they have a big speaking part, they are actors.
Yeah.
So like troubadour number 2, or like town troubadour number 2 specifically, and then the girl, the outside the Lukes. So like I feel like, but like the rest of them, other than Dan Palladino.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get there. Katrina asked a really good question. She said, I think a speaking part gets them an equity card, so maybe Amy just threw in a bunch of speaking parts to all these random people to help them out, which is a great theory. So SAG, equity is actually the Stage Actors Union, but SAG-AFTRA, that is the like on-screen Screen Actors Guild. American Film and Television Academy is what television and radio? I don't know, but SAG-AFTRA is for screen actors. And yes, it is really, really great when you get a speaking role, because that can get you at least towards, or it really can get you your SAG card. I don't know, and I'd love if our besties know this to chime in. I don't know if being a stand-in gets you your SAG card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gets you your SAG membership, because I want to say it does, because it's less about the speaking roles. It's more about the days you've worked on set. And I have to imagine that if they were with this show for 6 or 7 years, depending on, if they went on to be the stand-ins after Amy and Dan left, I really do wonder if they already had their SAG memberships.
I'm
not sure, but she brought that up, and it was a really good question. Because in a sense, I just love, regardless of whether or not it was like for them to really like make sure that they get their SAG membership or not, that she featured them, and they're not the only ones.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. So
let's keep on moving.
We get our first troubadour, and like I said, that's Joe Pernice of the Pernice brothers. Would love to know his connection to them. Maybe one day we can find that out, and if somebody knows, please let us know.
Taylor is appalled though.
Taylor is absolutely appalled, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. He's not even ready.
Boy, is he not ready.
So then we go to Logan's, and Rory and Logan's.
He's ready.
Speaking of ready, Rory is so Lorelai in this episode. I love that she is taking pictures. This is feeling like Rory's going to Yale. Logan is graduating from Yale.
And he hates it, but in such a boyfriend way. I actually feel like this scene, from beginning to end, is the most relationship-y moment, that private moment that no one sees between the two of you, and this is it. And it should be a private moment between the two of you that no one sees. Rory, don't bring your camera later. She says in a later scene, I'll bring my digital camera later to dinner. No. Do you know what pictures are on there? No. Yeah.
His naked butt.
It's a screensaver, but.
Can I tell you guys, and I know we talked about this in the Brett episode, this is so me and Brett Thiel. Not that I'm taking pictures of his butt, but this would be me. I would be camera in his face. He'd be like, okay, enough. Stop
with the pictures. And they reference photographers. And the one thing that gets me says my eyes are pale. I'm I'm pretty sure he has brown eyes, doesn't he? Am I making that up? What color are Matt Zucker's eyes?
Baby girl, you are the one who would know that out of anybody.
Why would
here.
I know that? I should know that. I thought he had brown eyes.
I trust you. I have no idea.
But I love when he goes,
very
"At least I'm
cute.
clothed in these." Like, it's just so relationshipy.
And they're having this conversation about the fact that he's graduating. Like, that's what we're setting up here. It's his graduation day. We are watching him graduate from Yale finally. This day has arrived. And we're also setting up the fact, in the midst of all of this really cute relationship banter, that the Huntsbergers are going to be there.
Yeah.
So, danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, she said, "I can avoid people with the best of them." Not people. I said Huntsbergers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still there. That vibe is there. She's just ready. She's ready to be there for Logan. This is her man who she has his naked photos of on her digital camera.
Mm-hmm. Hilarious. So we get that little blip. Then we go back to Stars Hollow. And I just love this. This song is called Perfume, and this is by Sparks. This is Ron and Russell Mael, I think is their last name, is how you pronounce it, Mael. And Sparks. And these two fucking kill me.
I've always loved Sparks because this is one of those ones when Lorelai's finally staying at Luke's and he's going to get CDs that she likes.
Yeah.
She lists Sparks as one of the ones. But I always liked this song that was sang. I didn't know what it was when I first saw it, but it's because my dog's name was Genevieve. Yes. And so when it starts off with her name, I'm like, my girl, my golden retriever.
Is it Genevieve Vers Dior?
Exactly. So I used to sing that to her, not knowing what the song was in 2006 when I watched it. But I just used to sing Genevieve Vers Dior. Exactly.
You know, by the perfume. This is so funny. Oh God, that's not my favorite of all of these though, song wise, because we have one coming up that is just an absolute bop and will never get out of my head. And I sang it the whole time after I watched this episode tonight, and Brett was probably like, "What the fuck are you singing?" But as this is all going on, there's a Stars Hollow dairy truck outside of Dosey's Market. And I don't think we've ever seen this logo before, like Stars Hollow Dairy. I was like, oh.
Who runs the dairy farm?
Who runs the dairy farm? Yeah, there was a truck outside. And of course, as this song is going on, people are walking by and I'm just waiting for Taylor to come out. I'm like, which side of the camera is he going to come out from? But he comes out of Dosey's Market and into the frame and he's like, what is absolutely going on? And then he hears another town troubadour and it's the second town troub. God, I missed him.
Yeah, from the Kinko's in Groton.
He runs a Kinko's in Groton. Hi, buddy. We missed you.
And he's back.
He's back the last time.
Contacts.
The last time we saw him was when he was officiating Liz and TJ's wedding. So it's really cool to see him again. It's been a minute. It's been 2 whole seasons, but he looks great. So glad he's here. And then the next time we'll see him after that is in a Walmart commercial in 2024.
I was about to say that. Wow.
David Allen Gruber, I think is his name. And he's just so funny. And man, oh man, do I wish we saw more of him.
Yeah.
Brett and I watched the season 1 finale. There are a lot of season 1 finale nods in this episode. One of them being the town troubadour, because that was Love, Daisies, and Troubadours, where we first get introduced to him. And it's just...
But it exploded in this one.
Yeah. It's just so good. And of course, Taylor recognizes him. He's like, what are you doing here? And I love, I don't know what he says to him, but the town troupe goes, beautiful. It just reminds me of at Uncles and Vegetables when he comes back as the vegetable guy and he's like, yeah, oh, beautiful. I just love him. He's so funny. But Taylor's puzzled. He's like, what's going on? He has no idea why all of these people are infiltrating him, why the second town troupe is back.
Who would he go to? He's confused. Taylor.
Of course.
Go to Luke.
Yeah, you're going to go to Luke's. And you're going to ask him what's going on. Now, Luke is on the phone. He's trying to make a phone call. Yeah. And we don't know who it is, but we can assume who it is. Because the last episode, Lorelai was deeply avoiding him. And I have thoughts on that in a second. When we get to Lorelai's later, I have a question for you that I really love your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on. But Taylor comes in. He's in an absolute tailspin. He's like, Luke, do you see what's going on? And Luke is like, I literally could not care less about
Have you eyeballed this chicanery? I what? Eyeballed. Yes.
Eyeballed. But Kirk has a theory. Kirk says the troubadour was discovered and they gave him an opening slot on Neil Young's tour, which we had learned at the end of the last episode because Suki and Jackson, of course, as they're trying to throw out all this pot, they run into the troubadour and he tells them, like, I just got a gig on Neil Young's tour. And so he's like, I'm leaving, I'm gone. So Kirk reiterates that information to us. He tells Taylor. And I love that when Taylor says, who's Neil Young? He goes, one of the monkeys. Because I don't think that's true.
I took Kirk at his word, but that was probably very dangerous of me. It's giving season 4, Who Are the Beatles?
I think they said like Ron, Bingo, Paul. So funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's just this whole exchange is so funny. It's so Kirk. And this is when Kirk makes him aware of the East Coast troubadour community. And
Yes.
this is when it just started to really click in for me that I was like, this is such a beautiful homage to Amy and Dan's love for music. Like,
Yeah.
they could not have done this more perfectly.
And it's hilarious that the East Coast troubadour community thinks that they're coming to Stars Hollow for their shot at the big time.
Uh-huh.
Like, please.
Oh my gosh.
Taylor could only be so like lucky, you know? Because like imagine if Town Troubadour had like blown up and like he was the Town Troubadour of Stars Hollow and like Taylor could use that claim to fame. So I always felt like there was like two sides of this where like Taylor could be like, oh, of course, the next big thing here in Stars Hollow. Like host a competition for them.
I know.
Or he's going to be really annoyed. And
he chose to be annoyed, which I kind of like.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little bit like the season 5 finale where like Taylor's outside the whole time. Like,
yes, 100%. It is a little bit of a nod to that, like how we started. And I love that. But the thing about Taylor is that if it's not his idea, he doesn't want to be.
No.
Like he's totally against it. So if he had known about the Town Troubadour and him getting the, opening tour spot for Neil Young.
People.
Oh, yeah. He would be like, all right, we need to capitalize on this. But if it's not his idea, he's like, everybody get away. Go.
Yeah. And I actually like that he's really upset by it.
I love it.
Love that he's upset.
This is when we get Kirk's reference to A Beaver Ate My Thumb, which, plot twist, spoiler, is my favorite song in this entire episode.
It would be. A beaver ate
my thumb. It's also the moves.
Yeah. And that it's Dan Palladino.
That it's Dan Palladino. He's so good.
You know what?
Oh my God.
I can't remember what episode it was recently, but like we were talking about how there was like a Dan joke in an Amy episode and it felt like it fit wrong because it like took it just a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a well executed Dan joke.
This was in the last episode.
Was it?
I think so. Because
it
was
wasn't the
when
Caesar one.
Oh, it could have been, but it felt like...
I thought it was the real Paul Anka.
It might have been the real Paul Anka, but
Where
I think
Caesar and
I thought
Kirk
we were
fight.
talking about... Yes, you're so right.
Is that what it was?
You're so right, yeah.
Because
I thought it was about the conversation that Jackson and Suki are having before.
No, that one felt like a deleted scene, we said. And I only know that because I just listened to it on Friday.
That's
before
so
I posted
real.
it. But this one feels like a well-executed Dan joke within an Amy episode. Like it's like dropped and then we see it later and it's like just the perfect amount.
It's just so right.
It's so well
and
done.
Especially because like you can tell that Amy loves music, but Dan is really the heartbeat behind like all of the
and that's
musical
what Sheila
references.
Said. Every time we've talked to Sheila, both in her episode that we had in 2023 now.
Yeah, it was
and
almost 2
then
years ago.
when we had her at our LA show, she talked about how much Dan really loves music, that was like he was behind a lot of that. Yeah.
Totally.
So I like that he is shining here. And it seems like music that they both really love.
Yeah, of course. But like this is his thing. So the fact that he got to play around like this just makes me so happy. But as this conversation is going on, we see another troubadour setting up outside of Luke Steiner. And it's a woman. It's the first female troubadour that we're getting.
The lady troubadour.
Lady troubadour.
Troubadette.
Now, Troubadette, if you will. But this actress's name is Mary Lynn Rajskub. 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 She is amazing. I love that she comes back for this because y'all might remember her from a film by Kirk. She's the I love you, and she's so great. She's a blonde now, but
you know what
she's
I actually remember her from is Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde.
Red, White, and Blonde, of course.
That's what I always
a lot of
remember
Legally
from.
Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde references.
We have
Bruiser Woods. Where does he come from?
But this is the one that gets stuck in my head.
About the 89 Volvo. Yeah.
Have you seen it? Like, that's the one. It's just like the monotone. That one really gets stuck in a loop.
It's so good.
I can't seem to find it, and no one seems to care.
So
Love
good.
it.
So Taylor shoos the troops away. He's like, all right, everybody, I understand you all want to be famous, but you're not going to get it done here. So please move on. Move along now.
I love that he says there is no bigger fan of
Bye-bye.
music than me. Like his most cherished memory is his father taking him to see Pat Boone. And none of
Pat
you
Boone.
are Pat Boone.
And none of you are Pat Boone.
Yeah. And
It's
he's going to bring
just so
water
well done.
hoses and canine units, which is hilarious to say because later the officer doesn't even have a pair of handcuffs. So
It's so
Love that.
funny. So funny.
I actually love Stars Hollow that they like barely even have police presence.
It's so great. We never ever really get to see police officers in Stars Hollow. I can recall
Except
this
for the
episode.
lady cop.
The lady cop in The Ins and Outs of Inns when Jess
Yeah.
does the chalk outline.
Yes,
So
just thinking about him
classic.
earlier.
Love him, miss him. Anyway,
That was
So-
for everyone who got mad at me in the early seasons when I'd bring up Logan before he shows up.
so we go to Lorelai's and she pulls in the driveway. You can tell that she is very, very tentatively approaching her home because she doesn't know if Luke's going to be there. Because reminder, they live together.
Well,
Kind of.
questionably.
Do they?
Do they is the real question. It's giving like Max Medina season 1. Like, was he going to move in even though he
Yeah.
helped renovate this house and like got those guys out sooner? Was this like a they
That's
had
the
to
thing
wait
is,
till
like,
marriage or
they
wait till April
seemed-
had settled?
Maybe that's what happened. That like he started spending more time. I don't know. I just felt like I don't know. I felt like they were living together and then all of a sudden they weren't, and I'm confused.
Yeah, I actually have thoughts about that later when we get to the fighting in the street. But she calls Rory.
She calls Rory. She returns Rory's phone calls because clearly Rory has been calling her.
Yes.
And she called twice. I love that we get a oh my gosh, the name of the movie is escaping me. I Will Not Be Ignored, Dan. It's the Glenn Close movie. Fatal Attraction.
No. Okay.
Right?
Love it.
Fatal Attraction?
If I were
the
Amy
rabbit in the
Palladino and I and my partner's name was Dan, would quote every
I will
movie
not be
line.
ignored, Dan. Yeah, totally. But Rory is calling from the middle of Yale. It's clear that the graduation has just happened. Everybody is in their caps and gowns and surrounding her. And she's just there casually chatting with Lorelai because she doesn't want to go over to
Yeah.
where the Huntsburgers are. She's keeping a good 50 feet.
As per the restraining order, she says.
Yes. But Rory's like, so what's going on? And
No, but before we do that, I have to point something out.
Yes.
Because this always really bothers me. And it's very, very much too soon to start talking about our grievances with season 7. But let's start here.
okay, lay it on me.
Because in season 7, episode 21, Unto the Breach, Logan is like kind of rambling, waiting to hear what Rory said in response to his proposal. And he talks about at his graduation day, he tripped. And do you know what she says here? Do you know what Rory literally calls out here?
She says
didn't trip.
Logan looked great, very dignified. He didn't trip. And I wrote that in all caps
And
with
he
about
remembered to wear
25
pants.
exclamation points next to it.
I had about 5. But yeah, and he remembered to wear pants. What a guy.
Thank
what a
God,
guy.
or else
What a
those
man. What a man.
pictures from the shower wouldn't have meant anything because everybody would have
Yeah.
gotten a free show.
Everyone
Wouldn't have been worth anything.
Yeah. But she's going to bring her camera tonight. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just had to point that out because
Yes. Well, but I will say that Rory asks her before that moment, so is everything cool? What's going on? And
yeah,
Lorelai's like,
everything's
everything's
fine.
fine, shaking her head. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right. At least we're acknowledging it. But then she goes on to, change the subject. How is everything? Logan and he didn't trip. Let's remember that.
Trip.
But she says he's going out to drinks with his family, 30 minutes for drinks, and then he is all mine. And for all intents and purposes, we're meant to believe that. But
I also like that she's talking about the restaurant that she's going to go to because she's going to dip out on drinks early.
I know
and
you've talked about this before.
Yeah, this is the one where there's Chianti waddles hanging from the ceiling. And after, I think, 9 o'clock, the husband and wife who own the place end up screaming at each other, which was it in Richard and Stars Hollow when there was a diner that he liked to go to and the food wasn't very good, but the husband and wife who owned the place ended up screaming at each other.
Very cute.
I really can't tell if that's something that Amy has in her life. That
it must be, or somebody must have that
craves,
in their lives. Yeah.
Or that diner became an Italian restaurant. Either way, I like the lore that the food was bad, so they tried Italian food.
They tried something different.
Yeah.
I love that. So she does say that she may have to duck out after drinks.
Yeah.
For Friday night dinner to go to this restaurant. And she's like, okay, it sounds good. So we're kind of setting that up for later.
Yeah.
So Lorelai goes inside the house and she sees Paulinka and she's calling for Babette, but Patty is there. She came in to take the morning shift, I think she says, around 7:30. And that's just so sweet. I love this because it's just such a testament, like the way the scene plays out, it's such a testament to the friendship between Patty and Lorelai and like everything that she has done for her over these last few episodes regarding her relationship with Luke. Like from the rumor around town that she had to make sure everybody was stuck to the same story for what happened with Lorelai at Lane's wedding and her getting drunk and all the things she said in her toast. Like Patty went around unprompted. Lorelai didn't ask her to do this. And I just love the way that they show up for her, that Patty shows up for her. And I know that a few years ago we did an episode called So Good Neighbor, I think it was called, where we were talking about whether or not Lorelai was a good friend or a good neighbor or both, like where the line was. And this is friendship. Like, yes, it's neighborly to like come over and be like, yeah, I'll take care of your dog. But like Patty comes over to relieve Babette from taking care of the dog because they love this woman so much and they would do anything for her.
Without being asked by Lorelai. Like she just knows that she needs to take care of her. And there's like not too much explanation needed in it either.
Nope.
That she's like, you needed someone to take care of Paulinka. I got you. She didn't even know what she had done. She asks her.
She just
said,
okay.
I had a girl's name was Suki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She goes, oh, anything illegal? No. They're just like, we just had a slumber party, which, for all intents and purposes, they did, which is true. But I think she really wanted to be avoiding Luke further by not coming home. And
because at first I was like, is it because he lives there? And so maybe he could come inside. But I don't know. I felt like in
he does. He's about to right now.
Yeah, fair. But he like knocked on the door when the Gilmores were there.
Yeah, that was weird. I think that was just for the bit. I think that
sometimes I'm kind of like a little bit confused at what's going on.
Totally. But before we get there, I love when Lorelai offers Patty some coffee and she goes, oh, no, I'm teaching a cardio strip club class. I need to make sure all the poles are screwed in.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's my favorite part.
Girl, I love ya.
Have fun. Who's taking the striptease class? The cardio striptease.
Lulu.
You think Lulu?
And Kirk. Yeah. It's a couples thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is when Luke comes in and Lorelai is like, Patty, tell him I'm not here. And Patty just instantly...
She's down.
She's fucking down. What a down bitch. I love this.
Yeah.
Patty covers for her flawlessly. She's like, oh, no, I'm just here to like watch the dog. And she changes the subject so... Seamlessly.
But I love how this scene starts. What the hell are you doing here? If I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
The way he talks to her? What the hell are you doing
It's kind of rude.
Mind your manners,
you're
sir.
kind of panicked.
You put some respect on her name.
Yeah. Patricia
LaCosta.
But she really just seamlessly turns this around onto, have you seen Turning Point?
Pure sex walking. Flying, actually. Have you ever thought of taking Dan's? And she looks down at his feet. I was dead. I literally wrote here, I'm obsessed with her. And
he's like, no, but...
No. But okay, well, tell Lorelai I came by. And as he's walking out, he's like, stop imagining me in tights, Patty. It's a free country, honey. What a great scene.
Yeah.
It's so good because it still really balances that humor and the levity with like obviously something very sad and serious. We know what's coming. We know what's happening. But my question for you before we get into the Patty, Lorelai conversation is, do you think this is fair to Luke?
That Lorelai's avoiding him?
Mm-hmm.
No. But I also don't think that anything Luke has done is fair.
I completely agree.
And it's not that it's like tit for tat, but it's like...
I just don't know what this is doing. maybe Lorelai needs time to think.
I think that's what it is.
What was the angle here is really my question.
I think she just didn't know what to say to him, because I think that moment with her mom really broke her, that she realized truly this was not going to happen. And I think she even knows that when she goes to Luke later at the end, which we can talk about. I think she knows that's why she's so manic, because she knows what the outcome of this is going to be. But yeah, I don't think it's fair, or I don't know. I don't think it's fair or not fair. I think it's the only thing she could do, because if she goes to Luke, it's just all going to come out, and it's not going to be helpful. But I also think that it's the feeling of like, I can't keep this all in, but I can't throw this on you because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Which is really sad, because I think that she knows that the only option right now is that tell him everything or lose him, or tell him everything and lose him. So
yeah,
I'd be avoidant.
I'd be avoidant. I feel like she's kind of been avoidant this whole time of the topic. She's not necessarily been avoiding him, but I think that this is
very
where
compartmentalizing it.
Yeah, she doesn't want to address it because she's scared of losing him, which I totally agree with you. But I also think that I don't think this is, I'm curious what the angle is. Like, you're just avoiding him and you're not telling him why. And like, I wonder how much of this would have been different if she had just spoken up sooner. And I'm not blaming her. Now that I'm watching this, I'm like, I really wish that you just said something.
But I think it's hard, because it's like, what would saying anything result in? Because there's been so many opportunities that we've like talked about in the past, like especially after the party, that there's so many opportunities. Was that the last episode in Driving Miss Gilmore? I guess. Yeah. There's so many opportunities after the party, after Anna talks to him, for him to step up and like be her partner and like defend her in some way. But he keeps like pushing her back and pushing her off and trying to do what's right. In the eyes of other people, really. Because like Anna seems to be now making decisions for what he can and can't do with the people in his life. And he's not defending that or creating space for her in any way. And if that hasn't come about naturally, what is me saying that this far in really going to do now? Because he just kept saying, you understand that I need some time and that like you need to wait. And that's all she's been doing. And so
yeah, she was
honest about it in A Vineyard Valentine. And it's like,
she was, yeah. And she brings that up here.
Yeah.
She brings up A Vineyard Valentine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just curious what your thoughts were on this, because I was like, I don't really know what the angle was here in avoiding him.
I think it's also, someone else points out that he was not clueless. Like, there's no way, especially after in the last episode, he was telling TJ, like, you have to figure out what they mean from what they're saying, like talking about like the women in your life. And it's like, okay, but you're not doing that.
I know.
Where are you doing that? And so like, there's no way that she would come to him and he'd be like, wait, where have you been? Like, what's going on? Like, no, he knows. The last time you guys had a real conversation was after the party. He just thinks everything's fine and this all came out of the blue.
I think so. I genuinely do.
Oh.
He doesn't, because, and I will put a little bit of that on her. She has not spoken up after these conversations ever, like about, what about me and what about us and everything. With the exception, I will say, of A Vineyard Valentine.
Yeah.
But she just has kind of let it happen. And I think that that's why he thinks everything's fine.
I mean, to some degree. And like, that's what sucks about Luke as a character at this point, is because like, we really have lost him, because he was so in tune with Lorelai. He used to be able to read this girl like a book.
At the ice skating rink, you lied earlier. Something's wrong.
And so that's what I'm saying is,
where's
like,
that guy?
That's hard to like justify that he has no idea that she feels this way when he has in the past. And so it feels more like he's just avoiding it as much as she is. Like, she says she's fine, so she must be fine. And it's like, you really think that's true? You don't feel any change in your relationship? And if so, like, how am I supposed to talk to you at all? Like, how am I, especially after it really was to Anna being like, Anna feels this way. I was wrong to invite you in. That's
Yeah,
it.
that
Like,
part.
it's like, at what point am I supposed to speak up and feel like I can say anything when you and this other woman are making decisions for us?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's the only reason that I'm like, what is she supposed to say?
Well, I think everything she's about to say at the end of the episode.
She's got a lot to say, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But
So Patty comes into the kitchen. She goes, he's so easy. She is so lighthearted about this, which is also a little out of character for Patty. I feel like the minute that happened, she would have been like, what's going on?
yeah,
You
that
know,
was like in
like-
the after the wedding when she was like, oh, like he'll wait for you, whatever. Like the way she was advocating for him was very odd, very very not Patty.
Well, she says something to the effect of like, oh, if anybody can get him down the aisle, it's you. And it's like, why are we forcing anybody down an aisle? He's
Why are
waited
we
for
doing
her
it?
for forever. But she does say, like, is everything okay with you guys? And Lorelai's like, yeah, we just kind of got into a little bit of a fight. Like, you know,
You're
blah,
punishing
blah.
him.
You're punishing him. Oh, love it.
Yeah,
she's so
into
down.
it. She says,
And
don't
she's
freeze
like-
him out forever.
Yeah, the longer the freeze out, the better the makeup.
Yeah. But we were talking earlier about how many husbands Patty has, and here she was talking about them.
All 4 of them. And this is where I wrote, Patty is the best neighbor and friend.
Yeah, she really is. Love her.
So
Love for
we
Patty.
go back to Logan's, Rory and Logan's, where Rory is sitting there, and we hear the ding of the elevator open. It's clear that she's been waiting for him for some time.
Quite some time, yeah.
And Logan comes out, and we also hear Mitchum's voice.
Yeah,
And
she opens the door.
She opens the door and then kind of closes it because she doesn't want to see him. Because the last time that they saw each other, Mitchum and Rory, was at the hospital after she basically told him off.
Yeah.
So,
Hee hee.
Logan comes in and they kind of have this moment where she's like, hello, where have you been? He's like, I know, it went longer than expected. And then he like brought a bunch of guys to talk to me, and like it turned into kind of a meeting. And she's like,
Synergy
well,
and new media ventures and increasing shareholder values. Felt my soul dying.
yeah. So she's like,
get
right,
it.
I literally have to leave for dinner. And he's like, okay, no more like thoughts about Mitchum. Just leave for dinner, do your thing, and I'll be ready when you're done.
That's what's really interesting that I thought about when he said no more thoughts about Mitchum, which you had said in the last episode. We were talking about how the scenes were going to break down, and like if they had really had, well, I guess we were talking about this together, if they had really had some sort of like conversation about like, don't let Mitchum get to you. I think that line would have hit a lot harder to say no more thoughts about Mitchum. Because I heard that and I was like, oh, would have loved for that to hit hard rather than just like Mitchum, the devil dragon in the hallway.
Yeah. And boy, is he still in that hallway. So Rory leaves and Mitchum is still on the phone and waiting for the elevator door to open. And she marches right into that elevator. And I have to say, before we get into this, she looks so beautiful.
They
Her
like
hair,
both wear,
dress.
her and Lorelai in these blue outfits.
I know.
It's not till they're at Friday night dinner later, but I'm like, oh,
But her hair,
it.
Rory's hair is her in the elevator right now is probably one of the best her hair has ever looked. Ever.
see, I thought it was the perfect dress.
Great
that
dress.
one for me.
Also a great dress. When you finally see
the perfect dress hair.
Oh, I was like, this is a great dress and the name of an episode.
No, her hair in the perfect dress.
Yeah.
That's
She
my
also has
favorite
great hair there, but like the hair here while she's in the elevator, she's a fucking vision, and her dress is very beautiful, but we won't see it until Friday night dinner. But we get this moment. Mitchum is trying to be very civil with her, and she is not having any of it.
Were you at the graduation? I didn't see you. I was there.
I was there. Well, I didn't see you. It's very Shira.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we didn't see you.
Yeah, that's 100%.
How do you feel about this conversation? What are
I
your
feel
thoughts?
two ways about this. Like, I think that partly because I didn't necessarily understand the buildup of her being mad at him. Of course I do, because he is taking Logan away. But I think that there is this sense about it that I would have liked more of a buildup in the last episode from Mitchum specifically, her feeling like he is taking him away from her. Because that's what she says. Why are you taking him away from me?
It's so petty. I love her so much, but like I literally wrote, you flatter yourself. And then I wrote, why do I always side with this villain? Because
But that's
what
the
he
thing,
says
it's like-
to her is like, Yeah, man. I'm sorry. This is so outside the realm and the boundaries of your relationship. It's out of the realm of possibility that this man is like sitting here going, whoa, I can't wait to separate them.
He's like, how have I get involved? Please, you've done nothing but get involved. And I'm like, okay, but Rory, give an example. Give an instance.
Why are you taking him away from me? That's the only thing I could possibly think of in the world, is that you just want to separate us. Rory.
He's like, you flatter yourself to think I care.
You flatter yourself. And I was like, you do.
I think the thing is like, I really just wish there would have been something more building in her mind than that, because
the last conflict we get with Mitchum is Rory being upset that he took quote unquote credit for
that
her
he was like
being
proud
the
of her
LGBTQ
in this weird Mitchum way, that he was like taking credit for her successes. Proud is a generous word. But that's why I was like confused. Taking credit and seeing that she is a success in a way that he didn't admit to before. But I'm just very confused as to how she landed on that like why she made it about her, because it's so clear that he is being taken away. We saw that in a Vineyard Valentine.
I know.
And like still, like you came and saw him in the hospital and still you're taking him away. And I think that would have been a much more interesting line to where we get with Logan later, to be like, why are you doing this to him? Like, he's done nothing wrong. And be like, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it's time for him to stop being a child and start being a man. It's time for him to grow up. I'm going to push him like my father pushed me, and he's going to grow up.
He says something very interesting amidst that speech, though. He says, my son is very talented and I want him to succeed. I think that's like the first time that we ever hear him say, at least as of now, like something complimentary about Logan. My son is very talented. It's feeling very Emily Richard Gilmore-esque. Like they are so they think so highly of their child until their child does something outside of the confines of what they've set up for them. So Richard Gilmore saying, my daughter, the brightest in her class, was pregnant and leaving school. Like Emily, when she speaks about Lorelai and like how impressive she is, but like would never say it to her face.
And I think that's like a baseline for them. Like if Logan was like stupid, I think he would be taking a different path with him to get him out of that. But he thinks he's smart and he thinks he can manage in this space that he wants him to.
Talented. Yeah. And I was like,
but
is he?
He needs to pull him out of his environment, is what he says, and get him away from those dopes,
away from Colin and Finn
and the Life and Death Brigade.
Yeah, I'm like, Rory, he's not trying to take him away from you. He's trying to take him away from Colin and Finn. He's kind of like, I could not possibly care less about your relationship. Like, what he does with his personal life is really none of my business. And honestly, I think the undertone of what Mitchum is saying here is like, I think you're perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with you.
Like, whatever you want to do is fine.
And maybe it has to do, I didn't think about this until this moment. Maybe it has to do with everything that Rory was feeling in But I'm a Gilmore, is that like she feels like the family does not think that she is right for him. And therefore, how can we get the two of them apart?
Because what I was going to say is her worries here are very early season 6 and late season 5, when so much more has gone on and she's witnessed between Logan and Mitchum, especially in A Vineyard Valentine, to turn it back to an earlier conflict when it seems like we have moved beyond that to like this being about Logan and her having to like reconcile that with this man that she doesn't like, that now she is agreeing with, because he says, is there anything that you don't agree with? And she doesn't say anything.
Yeah. He definitely has the last word here. It's so crazy. It's like, oh.
And the part of this, because like the Roy part of it's just wild. The part of it that I never agree with ever is that Mitchum, she might agree that Logan needs to grow up, but that's the way that this is like coming about is not what Logan wants. And I think as his partner, you can think one thing, but you need to be supportive of him. And I think that that's kind of where I lose Rory sometimes as a partner, is that she's just going to side who she thinks is right, not do what is right.
Yeah.
And like maybe sending Logan off to London is right. But I've just always been really disappointed in her for like Logan, like we'll get to it later when he looks her dead in the eye. But I've always found it very interesting that she gets on that elevator and was like, why are Why are you tearing us apart? Romeo and Juliet.
I know. I'm like, right.
And he's like, literally not.
He's
You're
like,
fine.
I literally forgot about
my
you.
worries. I literally forgot about you.
I forgot that you existed.
Hi, I'm Mitchum. And you are? Yeah.
So we go back to Stars Hollow, and this trio on guitars here. This is Yola Tango, and Yola Tango sings Our Little Corner of the World, which is the song that ends the last episode of season 1, Love, Daisies, and Troubadours. So this is when I started getting really emotional. I was like, okay.
Yeah, this is another one that gets stuck in my head. And we
want to cry.
Tried with all our might. Oh,
yeah.
Good one.
Tried with all our might. That feels like a narration of...
Okay, I'm so glad that you have brought this up, because I feel like the narration of the troubadour in general is always connecting Lorelai and Rory's thoughts. And I just feel like the overwhelming amount of troubadours in this episode really represents the fact that neither of them can like land on a single thought process about something, that they're both spiraling, if you will.
Totally.
And we're seeing that as a reflection of the troubadours.
So true.
So troubadour.
Taylor comes out of, I think it's the butcher shop as all of this is happening. We get to see Yola Tango perform for a little bit, and then we, pan up to Taylor coming out. And I love that he's the one taking us through this entire just parade of troubadours. And he has a little chat with Cliff, the mailman, who's played by a man named Rich DiDonato, who was the stand-in for basically every single male actor on Gilmore Girls.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He sadly passed away in 2023. But I found all of this out because Valerie Campbell actually did a TikTok on him and posted some really, really great photos of him. Like he literally was the stand-in for everybody from Ed Herman to Milo Ventimiglia. And
wow. Different.
And that's the thing, is that like a stand-in is really there to be the body for the actor when the actor is off getting hair, makeup, costumes, rehearsing lines,
lighting
whatever.
is one of like the setups.
They're there to like help the setup. So they need to have this like a very similar build and likely the same hair color. But height is very important here. And so how do you simultaneously be the stand-in for Ed Herman and Milo Ventimiglia, who are two completely different heights? Well, Valerie posted this amazing photo of him in these incredibly tall platform shoes. He had so many different kinds of shoes that were designed for him. Well, they were designed for him because he's on the shorter side. Well, not the shorter side. He's standing next to Michael Winters, who I always forget is like pretty kind of a tall man. I don't know why I always think Taylor is a short king.
No, it's because Lorelai, Lauren Graham, and Alexis Bledel are kind of tall.
Yes, so everybody else had to be
tall queens.
Tall.
Yeah.
So Michael Winters is 6 feet tall. So he like,
why do you know that off the top of your head?
Because I looked it up one time and I never forgot. Just keep going. Stop talking.
Michael Winters, 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall.
Okay.
Why? But he wears these incredible platform shoes for when he is standing in for Ed Herman, and it's just a really great photo. So you guys should definitely look that up. But I thought that was so cool because once I saw Inger and Patty at the beginning of the episode, I was like, every single person that became like a little bit part, I was like, who are you? Because you could tell that they were someone special.
And like the relationship between Michael and what's his name?
Rich.
Like when he walks away and like pats him on the back, I know it's like an acting thing, but it felt familiar. You know what I mean? It felt comfortable. And that's maybe this man is an incredible actor, but like I was like, they seem to like their connection was instant, and it's because they know each other.
It's probably because they know each other really well. And that's the thing, is that like Rich, Patty, Inger, these were members of the cast. Like they were just as much members
the Gilmore
of
family,
the company, as everybody else on that set, because they were there every day. Like they have to be on set. Being a stand-in for it's probably, I don't know from experience, but an amazing job to have, but also probably a very thankless job, because like you don't get the credit. You don't get like the accolades that these other people get, but you are on set with them every day. It's like the he's in this episode too. It's like the Luke's Diner employee. He's in like every single episode. He is in every, and I don't know his name.
Oh, that's like there's a scrub nurse in Grey's Anatomy that she's like in every single episode.
And they're such a part of the family, but like they don't get the same glory that the other actors get. So I just love that, you know, I know we talked a little bit about whether or not this was a good push for them to have like an on-screen camera moment for
I wonder
their union card or just in general. And regardless, I just think it was a really beautiful thing for them to do, for Amy and Dan to do.
And I love that this guides us into this conversation that Taylor is having with someone, that troubadours are persona non grata in Stars Hollow. And it's the last of them before.
Yeah. It's the last like bug he has to squash or like rodent he has to exterminate. And because like he gave that little speech about like, you guys got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And
you don't have the talent of Pat Boone.
But no. He looks up and there is a whole slew of troubadours in the town square.
The best part is the sound. It sounds atrocious.
Quite literally, I wanted to die
just become
listening
a choir,
to that. I was
y'all.
like, oh my God, stop.
Play one
like
song.
You're all competing with each other and it's terrible.
It's horrible. But I love like the pan out. It's so good. So Amy. Love it.
So Amy. So then we go to Friday night dinner. And we get the ding dong. It's Lorelai. I love that.
Ding dong.
I love that
it's Lorelai.
Emily is approaching the door. She goes, Gerda, you're half my age. Why do I always beat you to the door?
Yeah.
So funny.
This is a funny episode for Emily and her maid.
I know.
But this is one of my favorite entrances to Friday night dinner.
I know you love this moment.
Yeah. When she says, hello, Lorelai. And she goes, so how are we? And she really means it. And it's kind of devastating that Emily would ask her how she's doing and mean it. You just know nothing can be good in that.
I know.
In that case.
So how are we?
Yeah.
So Gerda finally arrives. She's played by an actress named Irene White, who was born on October 5th. How fitting.
Why?
Because October 5th, 2000 is the anniversary of Gilmore Girls.
Oh, yes. I was like, it's February.
Why?
It's so Keon, but why?
But why?
But why?
She comes back, Irene, in A Year in the Life. She plays a character named Brenda in Fall, and she's one of the women who's doing Wild, who's standing in like that little circle with Lauren, being like, book a movie. She's also done a ton of stuff, but again, everybody who was a bit part, I was like, who are you and what do you mean to the Paladinos?
Who are you? Where do you come from?
So Lorelai comes in, and as they're going into the living room, Rory's on the phone with Finn, and they're working on something exciting. You don't really know what it is yet, but she's trying to figure something out.
And she says, I trust you, Finn. No, I'm not surprised we've never heard anyone say that to you before.
Which is so real.
Yeah. But they're both in blue. When they sit down on the couch, they're like matching on accident. And I think it's the most beautiful thing that they could ever do. It's just like come from different places and end up in the same spot. Matching.
When I saw Lorelai's blue dress, I almost had like a moment because it's so iconic to the ultimatum scene we get at the end. And it was just like, oh shit, here we are. And it's so interesting because of the way that we start this season and end this season with, you know, a lot of really emotional moments in the diner, but with two very iconic looks from Lorelai. We've got the purple shrug over the wrap dress, the beautiful floral wrap dress, and then this outfit. So it's just very...
Also a shrug.
Yeah. She loves a shrug.
She's shrugging.
She is surely shrugging. But anyway, yes, totally agree that their blue outfits, their blue dresses are very beautiful. And we don't quite know what Rory's up to, but speaking of other top secret things, there's something top secret under a cover on the coffee table.
Yeah.
And Richard comes in. Rory says she got her hand slapped away when she tried to touch it. I love Richard's green bow tie in this episode. He looks really dapper.
He looks so
very cute.
That man.
But they say we received a very tidy little settlement from the botched eye surgery that Emily had.
From the charlatan who botched Emily's eye surgery.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
And they reveal that they're going to put this towards the building that they were already donating all of this money to Yale in Rory's name for.
I love. She's like, oh, good, we didn't forget.
Great, you guys didn't forget about that. Cool. And they take the cloth off, and there is just this giant astronomy building, which for me, I'm just like, why an astronomy building? And I love that when they're talking about it being to scale and the letters and them being 30 feet tall, Lorelai is like, well, honey, it's an astronomy building. You need to be able to see it from space.
Yeah. They want it to be taller than everything around it. Can I ask you a question though?
Uh-huh.
Why is it called the Rory Gilmore Astronomy Building and not the Lorelai Gilmore Astronomy Building?
Well, they don't want people to get confused.
Yeah, but there's only one Lorelai Gilmore who went to Yale. I thought that would have been really funny, like a little funny bit to add in.
Oh, yeah, for Lorelai to be like, well, how are people going to know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's mine.
Yeah.
I just find astronomy building to be so random.
I don't think they get to decide.
Library?
Well, I don't think they get to decide what's being built at the school. They just get to decide to fund it.
That's true.
So like they're doing an astronomy building. Like I imagine there was like a list that like the foundation at Yale like gave them, development teams. Like, this is what you can pick from. They're like, astronomy, our star.
Our star, because she's a shining star.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that when they're talking about this, Lorelai brings up personalized license plates. She's like, this is so much better. Did you ever want a personalized license plate?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
well, actually, I had one. It was on my motor scooter. It was on the back of the seat and it said Haley.
Actually, I had one.
Yeah, not one on my car.
I was 7 and
no, I was not 7. I had to have been like 11 or 12.
Well, yeah, you can't get a license until then.
Yeah, well, you can't drive a motor scooter when you're 7. You'll fall off.
Listen,
like
you know who's going to be driving a motor scooter when he's 7 is Leo, because he's already driving his Range Rover and he is so good at it. True. Better than I would ever be.
That kid can.
He knows how to
so well. He can do like an 18-point turn.
Yeah,
like
he's
crazy.
Amazing. He's very, very good at it. So
yeah, he's 3,
and he is 3. So if
to be fair, it's a child's car. This is
it's not a real Range Rover.
Not a real.
No. He has
his legs aren't
he
that
has
long.
a replica of Kid's car. And it's so funny. He's amazing.
So good at it. But no, yeah, it was when I was like probably 12, and it had a little thing in the back. I actually think it was from Hawaii. I think one of my friends brought it back for me and it had my name on it.
That's cute.
Because she had one too, and we would ride them around our neighborhood.
Fun. Girl group.
Yeah.
Girl gang.
Yeah. Girl gang. With our American Girl dolls in the back, in the little baskets.
If you got a personalized license plate, what would it have said?
Wait, would it not say my name on it? Would it not say Haley?
No. I think that like personalized license plates can be anything you want them to be.
Oh, mine said Haley, to be fair. Too Fast, Too Tired? Too Fast, Too Furious?
Too Fast, Too Tired. Love.
Too Fast, Too... I don't know. What would you say?
When I was younger, I really wanted my license plate. So we go to Saratoga Springs in upstate New York every year. We've been going since I was before I was in the womb. My mom's been going for almost 50 years. And I always wanted, because I loved Saratoga so much, I wanted my license plate to be Saratoga.
Love.
But
Saratoga.
It's 8 letters. Usually you do 6 to 7 on a license plate. And I never got a personalized license plate anyway. I was just happy to have a car. So
maybe Too Tired, Too Furious.
Too Tired, Too Furious. All of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys have ever had personalized license plates or wanted one, I would love to hear about it because I just find them to be so funny. But anyway, so
Hannah offered Hater.
Hater. Love it, Han.
Love it.
But ding dong, Christopher is here.
Oh my God, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? I love when she asks that. And he goes, I was invited. She goes, shut up. Me too.
Me too.
It's so funny. What kills me in this episode, given where we're about to go, is that I absolutely have fallen in love with the two of them and their current relationship. not as partners, not as prospective love interests, as friends, as
Yeah.
two people who have known each other for a long time, who will always have love for each other.
Yeah,
I
partners
love
in the
their
Western
relationship.
sense.
Correct.
Like, dum, 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 like that.
Yeah.
Howdy
Like a
partner.
cowboy. I
Yeah.
love that you sang it. Dum, 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 dum,
You know,
dum,
like
dum,
howdy
dum.
partner. Because like when they walk in and he kisses her on the cheek and she's like so excited to see him or like shocked.
She's like, oh, shut up, me too. Like,
Yeah,
it's just so
I
silly
love
and
them.
goofy. I
Gosh.
love their friendship here. And when
You
they're
know,
in the
it's-
bathroom and he's like, I thought this was a sign. I thought this was a signal. You were going to
What
help
spy
me.
school did you go to? See, the thing is like in this moment, you're like, you can't make me hate them. And then by the end of the episode, I'm like, you can make me hate them.
Yeah,
You
totally.
can.
So basically what they say is like, we are leaving for Europe for the next 2 months. And we wanted to see Christopher before we left. Like we had to see Christopher before we left.
And I
Of
forgot what it is. It's like you can call Gilmore many things, but you can't call him I forgot the word. And I love, she says, what are the things you can call him? Lorelai says to him.
It's
I love
very
that.
cute. But Rory has to go and they understand because like it's Logan's last night. Like Emily and Richard are like, we totally get it. You know, have fun.
She should be proud of that boy. She should buy
That
him an
boy, this is
observatory.
Yes. But this is when Richard says, that boy, she should be proud of that boy.
boy.
I was like,
Yeah.
I like that boy.
Yeah.
And somebody pointed out to us when we were talking about, I like that boy with Marty, that Emily says that about Mrs. Kim. I like that woman. They
She
love
does.
to say things like that.
I like that.
I like that woman.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get another ding dong as Rory's about to leave. And Emily says, it's Grand Central Station in here tonight. As if you don't know, as if you didn't do the inviting.
I know.
She's like,
As
oh,
if she doesn't
gosh, what a
know.
shock.
Unless she hasn't timed it out.
But this is when we're introduced to Carolyn Bates, Linny, to those in the know. And this is played by Melora Hardin, Jan from The Office. She's an absolute
Our queen,
just
our star.
Gosh,
This is
she's
one
so
that
cute.
early on I used to call her Lenny Lot because I
Lenny.
Penelin Lot, Lenny, but it is Bates. She does
It is.
identify.
It's Carolyn Bates, Linny to those in the know. And she's so cute. And like everything that they're saying about her, she's beautiful. She's witty. She's fun. She's great. And she's got a very calming presence to her because she is a psychologist.
She
Not all
isn't-
psychologists have a calming presence. I just need to say, like, she usually makes you feel safe.
No, but what does she say later? She says, I'm good at head nodding.
Good at head nodding. Yeah,
Love
she's
that
just
for
really
her.
cool. And that's why, like, when Emily is pushing her and Christopher together, I kind of want to be like, Chris, this is a fucking slam dunk. Like, this is a score. Way out of your league.
But no, okay, so my favorite part about this, so clearly a setup, like yanks Lorelai away, makes her sit down. My arm is attached to me. But she makes Christopher sit with Lenny. And there is nothing that I find more insulting from Emily to Christopher than I'm going to set you up with a psychologist. Did we want them to go home together or did she want Chris to make an appointment?
Both.
I love it.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, so good. I also love her moon necklace. Like, she looks stunning.
I
Like,
know.
Melora, get it. She's so beautiful.
We love you, Lenny. I don't love that Chris is like, no, not interested in her. But like, I wish it was more from the perspective of like, this poor girl. Like, it's like your mom has conned this poor girl into being here. Like, she seems lovely, but like, this is
she
not
seems really
the space
nice,
where I
but-
want to meet a woman.
Yeah, totally. Like, or him being like, I'm not interested in dating. Like, I'm good. I'm
not interested in being with someone your mom set me up with.
Yeah, like I'm okay. I'm all set.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting. But they're exchanging looks across the room because he's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And luckily, like Emily kind of nailed it this time because the last time that we saw Emily try to set one of the two of them up with somebody, it was Lorelai and
Chase Bradford.
Star-Crossed Lovers and Other Strangers with Chase Bradford.
Shall
we?
That name like sticks out to me like it's a main character and not just this man who like came through the house one time.
Oh yeah, no, Chase Bradford.
We
Main
talked about
character
him
energy.
way too much.
Star of the episode.
But my favorite line here that we leave on is, and Lenny's a Leo.
Yes, and Lenny's a Leo. I wrote that down too.
Our
It's just so
sign.
funny. It's so funny. So then we go back to Stars Hollow. And this is when we get Sonic Youth. So
yes,
two
they
of the
sing
members
Cool
of
Thing.
yeah,
My Stockholm Syndrome song.
cool. But they are playing with their daughter Coco. She's not a member of Sonic Youth. This is literally their daughter, and
Which
I think
I
that's so cool.
love.
Yeah,
I think I love
very
that.
very cool. And as this is all happening, like they play for a little bit. I love that they kind of give them their moment.
Yeah, they give everyone like a moment, and I think
give
it's
them
cute.
a moment to like have their song. And then I love that Taylor just comes from out of nowhere. Stop, go home. There's no jumping in the town square.
I love that. This is private property.
This is
no,
private
it's not.
property. It is not. It is
Literally
a town.
not.
It is a town square.
Yeah.
And this is when he sees Officer Ruskin, who is played by Greg Binkley, who's done a bunch of stuff.
He seemed very familiar.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. I remember him in Galaxy Quest. Like he just has one of those like recognizable faces.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he goes, "What took you so long?" And he's just like, "Oh, hey Taylor, what's up?" It's
I'm here
giving
now.
like town troubadour #2 energy.
Really
and
is.
as it's all happening, Patty is feeding them like I think she says tiramisu.
She
feeding them,
seems like she has
sandwiches or
sandwiches.
tiramisu.
But like as more and more troubadours are getting off this bus,
Yeah.
and it really just seems like the officer could have like commandeered the bus, got them all back on, took them on the
been like,
one
"Get
cell
outta here."
jail. Had to
I
take
know.
turns.
But as this is all happening, it's chaos. And then we hear Taylor, "How could you let this happen?" And it's the town troubadour, the
our
real town.
troubadour.
It's our town troubadour. And I'm like, oh
back.
man, he's back. And it's sad because he only made $700 and he got booed and he didn't even get to meet Neil Young.
Heart of gold, my ass.
My ass. So funny. So he's now back, but he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you let this happen." And we leave this with Taylor going, "I hate music." Like, okay, yeah, thank you.
Even Pat Boone.
Even Pat Boone, I'm sorry. But where we really leave this is just the most perfect way we could have left this chaos, which is finally with the debut of A Beaver Ate My Thumb. And
Could you sing it for us?
A beaver ate my thumb. It's the shoulders too. You gotta.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the doctor gave me rum because a beaver ate my thumb. And then he does like this, ow! And I was like, okay, this is Dan. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Daniel Palladino.
That's him.
This is Amy Sherman Palladino's husband, Daniel Palladino. And he's being accompanied by the real Dave Rogowski on guitar. What I love is that the man who is playing bass, his name is Brian. And it has me wondering, this is Dave Rogowski's music partner. His name is Brian Zydiak, Zydiak. And I'm like, was this the inspiration for Brian?
I was about to say.
He's a bass player. I am done. I loved it. It was so perfect. It was my favorite. It's neck and neck with another town troubadour moment in this episode. Because they just mean two different things. This for the comedy of it all, it is so brilliant. Yeah. I fucking loved it. I loved it so much.
The only thing that could have made this better was having Carole King.
Oh, I know.
But Carole King doesn't exist in this universe, as we determine in the revival.
It would have been fun, though, they do it in the revival for us, but if Sophie was trying to.
Yeah, but
she was like, I didn't know that you could be discovered here.
Well, she's already written songs, hasn't she? So it would have been hard because Sophie's already established in this universe.
Hey, speaking of Sophie, why wasn't Happy Alien trying to get discovered while this was all going on?
They've been discovered by Mrs. Kim.
That's so true.
I don't think I would have enjoyed if Happy Alien was out there, admittedly.
Yeah, it would have been kind of weird. It was kind of cool that it was all just like randos.
Yeah.
So we go to Friday night dinner.
Quote unquote randos. Randos
for the Stars Hollow
town.
universe, not randos for our universe, for sure. So we go back to Friday night dinner, and Emily is still talking all of this up. She calls Gigi a doll, and I'm like, the last time you saw her, you literally called her this.
Enjoy your program.
Gigi, enjoy your program. She's like, oh, she's a doll. I'm like, yeah, okay. Is she? But she's like, Lorelai is like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And Emily uses this as an opportunity to be like, oh, I just have to say, the two of you, it's like a shampoo ad.
It's almost like looking at a shampoo ad. That's one of my favorite lines in this whole episode. And there's some great ones. It's almost like looking at a shampoo ad. It's the way that Kelly says it too.
She's so funny. So Lorelai walks in and Chris must have sprinted to the bathroom because he walks in right behind her and she's like, oh, whoa, hello. And he's like, oh, I thought this was code. She was like, what?
What the hell kind of spy school did you go to?
Yeah, follow me and let's try to figure out how to get you out of this. And he's like, you're just letting this happen. And she's like, what do you mean I'm just letting this happen? You seem fine. You're talking to her. Yeah, like
my favorite is fine. She's talking to me. What am I supposed to do? Slap her in the mouth? That'll stop the conversation.
I was like, don't slap anybody in the mouth.
Don't do that. Unless it's Luke 2 episodes from now. Slapping her. Yeah. I guess he punches him. He punches him.
I was going to say, that's not a slap. Yeah. But I wrote down what could possibly be wrong with Lenny. She's great. Like, she's great. Chris.
She is great.
But I think it's more kind of speaks setup. To that. She's like, yeah, absolutely. He's put off by the setup. He's turned off by the fact that like he came into this and Emily is just like, it's mating season. Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Truly.
Psychologist season. Here you go.
Here you go. And Lorelai says, what? Like, you're great. She's great. You're pretty. She's pretty. This is how all great divorces start.
Yeah.
And so she just was like, I don't understand what the problem is. And then he starts like thinking about like, how did I used to get out of here? And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, remember that drain pipe I shimmied down? Oh, that thing in the attic. Like he's just like reminiscing. Yeah. It's very fun. And I love this version of their relationship because he's like, you know, help me get out of this. And she's like, yeah, I got your back. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I love this version of them. But then she goes, and I know you've always got mine. And I was like, oh, the way
and later
she
he
says
really
that,
does have her back.
He really does.
I do like that she...
The way she said it made me go, oh.
Well, the other part of that, I do love that she's like, if you're an adult now, you can just walk out the door. And he says no. And just like vanishing is a lot less weird.
Yeah.
But
it's giving star-crossed lovers and other strangers.
Totally. The way he like strokes her arm before he leaves, I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
Up until that moment, I was like, oh, I love these two. But then there was that moment that made me go.
Lingered a little too long.
Yes.
You have to let it linger.
Yeah. You have to. So they go down for dinner, which he says it's 8:00. So they didn't start dinner at 7:00. I'm like, holy shit, it's late.
I'm so surprised. Hostage.
Yeah. No, for sure.
The hostages.
The hostages are in the basement or whatever she says. It's just so funny.
Full circle.
And then I just remember she like someone like blows a dart and then she does this.
She dies.
But she's holding the dart. She's like,
yeah.
It's so good. God, I've
never seen
show.
The Office before.
Yeah.
Threat Level Midnight.
Threat Level Midnight. Great episode. So, we cut to dinner. Lorelai starts interjecting with like the craziest things, sharing her dreams about like a walrus sitting on her chest. And Lenny is just like rolling with the punches. She's like, well, sounds like something in your life might be strangling you. And I'm like,
and you're like, ooh, too true.
No.
Or something you can't talk about. But they're having paella.
They are having paella, which is the chapter title, paella. But you know, Emily just keeps trying. Like it's Emily and Lorelai are battling it out here. It's like she's battling it out for the attention to continue to like push Chris and Lenny together. Lorelai is trying to intercept. I love that Emily's like, Christopher does the Sunday New York Times crossword every Sunday.
Wait, I said you and Chris went through the crossword puzzle. But the reason I mentioned the paella
Sunday's
is
my fave.
She got the recipe from Hildy McIntosh.
Oh, Hildy.
Yeah.
Distant relative
cousin
of yours?
Hildy. Yes, of course. She makes paella all the time.
All the time.
But later in season 7, not to like keep bringing up season 7, Logan in Hayvale Maze is making paella for them. And she goes, paella? Who even knows how to spell paella? I'm like, please, you have it at your mom's house all the time.
Yeah. Paella. Paella.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Wait, what is that? Charlie Davenport? Very good.
Very good. She asks good questions.
Exactly.
Can't believe that was the beginning of this season. That feels so far away.
I know. It really feels like forever ago. But I will ask you, why is there a lot of traveling done in computer software?
I didn't even know Christopher was in computer software.
I think I kind of like probably knew that.
Why does Christopher even need to work?
Why does he need a job?
He has so much money.
Why does it require traveling?
I don't know. They just have to throw that in with Christopher and Sherry. Like that was a big thing for them. Like she's the Northeast regional representative for L'Oreal Cosmetics, and she travels and she does this, and Christopher travels and he does that, and it's like I don't really know what either of you do.
Is he selling computer software?
Maybe.
I don't know. Job's about to be obsolete, but it doesn't matter because he has tons of money. He's rich, as he told us.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that in the midst of all this, Lorelai is just trying so hard to help him here. And Emily says, Lorelai, are you having some sort of breakdown? No more talk until dessert.
No more talking until dessert. I was like, oh, so funny.
She got him.
So we go to Logan's apartment. The elevator doors open and he is there with Colin and Finn. And they're trying to like kind of convince him to go out for one more drink. They're trying to keep him out like as late as possible to allow Rory the space to get his friends over and to get everything set up. And I love what he says to them. I know you know it word for word.
But it's sweet. It's sweet, but it's sad knowing where we just came from with Rory and Mitchum on the elevator, where he says like, he's like, they're worth at least a couple pages in his memoir, but as of right now, it's goodbye. And I'm just like, these are your friends. These are the guys who they didn't really have your back because you hit the cliff side and fell and got hurt. But for the most part, they seem to be your best of pals, and you have to abandon them at the request of your dad. Makes me sad. But he wants to spend the rest of his night alone with his girl. Specifically says, I want to spend the rest of the night alone with my girl.
There was something so like romantic about a guy being like, my girl.
But to his friends being like, but as of right now, it is goodbye. I want to spend the rest of the night alone with my girl, who then opens the door and his girl is right there. In an
adorable outfit. She looks so cute.
Yeah.
She sounds so terrible. Still has bangs, but her accent is terrible. And I love that he comments on it. He's like, this accent is atrocious.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be because I bet Alexis Bledel could do an amazing British accent.
I'm sure she would do a great job.
But I just love it. I love my girl. And that moment, spend the rest of the night alone with my girl.
It's so nice.
Question, do you think this is disappointing for him? Because
I was going to ask you the same thing. Because he wants to spend the night alone with his girl, and then he walks into a party.
A huge party.
I would actually be a little disappointed myself, because like if this was Brett, I would want to spend the night alone, just us. Why do you think that Rory did this?
I think Rory did this as one last send off. Because like
why?
The conversation with Mitchum.
But the conversation with Mitchum being like he's about to, get serious.
Yeah, so I think it's like seeing Peter Pan off from Neverland. Like you're gonna grow up tonight, but one last huge hurrah at Neverland is kind of like the idea behind it.
Get that.
And that's really sad because like it seems like he's grown up enough and matured enough in the sense that like he doesn't need a big party. He just needs his girl. And then she opens the door to a big party. And I think that there's a part of him as like he's seeing all these people and being overwhelmed as he walks into his own apartment and there's so many people there. I think there's a little bit of disappointment in it. At least that's how I've always felt. I
think so too.
He's walking around like, oh.
Especially given where we see them in the next scene.
Yeah.
They're just on the couch, just the two of them.
I think that she thinks that's what he wants.
Yes. I think so too.
But I don't think it's what he wants. Bummer.
Yeah.
But it's a party.
It's a party. Yay! Yeah. It looks really fun. And she looks absolutely adorable.
And he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go to London. So I think she's like, look how great it's going to be. You're going to have a great time.
That is really cute.
Look, you're going to have Big Ben in your apartment.
Look.
Everyone's going to talk like
is there
I
a
do.
Night here, there is also Big Ben.
Yeah. We got it down.
She threw this together rather fast.
And it's sweet to be like, she says, well, if you can't be happy, at least you can be drunk. which is a very odd sentiment after what she just heard said to her by Mitchum, but also an odd sentiment because he's not happy because he's leaving her. So there's just a lot of layers to it that I think it's really sweet and really well done, while at the same time being incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, totally.
It just makes me want to cry.
Me too. So we go to Friday night dinner and it's the end. Chris is gone. Lenny is, we think, gone, but we're at the foyer and Emily goes, well, that was a complete waste of time. And Lorelai's like, why, Mom? She's like, well, they left separately. I thought maybe they'd get coffee. She's like, you served them coffee. She's like, well, I don't know. Maybe they wanted a second cup of coffee. Yeah. Which, speaking of coffee, we get no coffee in this episode. And I'm a little sad, but that's okay.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? But I love that she's like, what did you think, Mom? They were going to throw down and consummate it in the hallway. And she goes, no, I did not think they were going to throw down and consummate it in the hallway.
The foyer.
In the foyer.
Yeah.
It was just so funny
just love
the
that
way
she
says
mocks
it.
her.
No, I did not think they were going to throw down and consummate it in the foyer. But this is when she says, Christopher's probably too immature for Lenny anyway. And I was like, yes.
Yeah. I love when she says, sure is nice when it's not me. And
she's like,
just like this weird shift that I think I would have, this moment makes me realize I would have really loved an Amy Sherman-Palladino season 7 to see where Emily and Lorelai go. And like what direction this moment between them takes, because their relationship has been the one that, like, one of the major ones that we've been contending with this whole series. So
true.
Would have really loved to see where that would have gone, especially just like outside of the revival, because naturally you have to write in like the circumstances of real life. So Richard has passed because Ed Herman did. And so I just really would have loved for their relationship to live outside the bounds of like huge life-changing events and more just like in the day-to-day between them. So that really is it's a sad departure, but
I know
I do love that Lorelai leaves. She asks Greta, that's her name, right? If she fired her, and she says no. And
Gerda.
she says, Gerda.
Did I fire you? No. Everything's off tonight.
But I love that that's Emily's last line is everything's off tonight, and you feel it. And I just like that, like it's so close to breaking the fourth wall, that between the fact that we're losing Amy and Dan, everything's off between all of the characters tonight. But it's just like the thing that's really off is like, this is really the end of the original series in a way that we never really expected. But she just goes, everything's off tonight. And we're like, we know. We know, we get it.
So we got to the driveway, and I just want to say this from a production standpoint. I didn't notice this until it took me a really long time to get through this episode because I was looking at every detail, every character, every actor, etc. But you watch Lauren's hair get so flat in this scene. She goes from the foyer when it's kind of like not big by any means, but it's curly and it's voluminous. It must have been so humid outside because her hair is so flat. Because then even when she's in the back of the car,
I didn't notice.
If you go back and watch, it's like, oh, hello. Must have been so humid. But Lenny is outside talking to Sandra, who's a client of hers. And she's like, oh, so you do like, sessions over the phone? She's like, I do sessions wherever people need me. You just, when you're going through something, you never know when you need to talk. And that really speaks to Lorelai. And they're standing there having conversations, and she apologizes for talking so much and kind of really just keeps yapping and then stands there and will not move. And Lenny's like, do you need to
talk about something?
And she's like, no, that's all right. Bye. I gotta go. I love the way.
Literally says, I gotta go. My parents have been married for 40 years.
Just in the jump cut to Lauren in the back
love
seat is so fucking good. And I love that she's having this session about just like her first therapy session in the driveway of her parents' house, in the driveway of the space she grew up in.
Perfect.
How poetic.
Perfect.
It's so good. But this is when we really get insight to the fact that, like, she says, I never really thought about getting married, not until I met Luke, you know? And Linny is
until
like,
Max asked me.
Well, yes, I'm sorry. Until Max asked me. And Linny was like, well, marriage was always a solution to a problem. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And it's true. That's everything we've seen from this series, not just in how Lorelai is, but in every single proposal on this show. It's a solution to a problem.
And then she says, did you love Max? No, I didn't.
I wanted to, but I didn't. I don't think I ever really loved anyone until Luke.
Oh.
Yeah, I wrote ugh in all caps. Like, everything she speaks to about the way that this season started, she's like, did I tell you I proposed? And she talks about it. And she's like, I just saw this man standing in front of me, like, amidst all of the chaos and, like, the way that he wanted to step in for Rory. And that was just so special. And, like, I just am like, oh my God.
He would protect me, but he got me. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. But he's not doing it right now. And that's what's so hard. He's not protecting you or getting you.
Yeah, totally. And she really speaks her feelings. This feels very cathartic for her, because it feels like what we got at the beginning, ironically, with Luke and Lorelai at the beginning of season 3, when they reconcile and she's Mimi, and she's like, I am ready for it. I am ready for the whole package. And she's talking to the guy who, you know, arguably is the one who's going to give that to her, maybe. But she says that here, I'm ready to get married. I want another kid. Wow. That also is like,
wow.
I don't want to wait anymore. I'm not happy and I feel crappy all of the time. I have had it. She's done. And I love that she was able to finally let that out with someone who's a complete stranger to her, but really opened up her perspective and says so many wise things here. Like, Linny is an icon. She says so many things. What are you going to do? Only you can make you wait. And when Lorelai says, well, I could lose him if I push too hard, she goes, you don't really seem to have him.
Yeah.
I was like, tell her. It's hard. It's so hard to say those things, and to anybody, but it's so hard to say those things to someone who, like, is a friend. Like, everybody in the town is like, don't worry, babe. He's going to walk down the aisle. You just wait. And having someone come in as an outside perspective who has no stake in this game, no stake in this race.
That's actually what I was going to say earlier when we had Suki, like when we were talking about her and like having this conversation, is like, she doesn't have any stake in this. Like Linny, I was going to say Jan. Linny doesn't have a stake in this. I know,
I've almost called her Jan. I've almost called her Melora. I'm like, what's her name?
Because we always call her Jan from The Office when we talk about her. Yeah. But with Linny, she doesn't have any stake in this, but Suki does. But Suki also, I think, has helped keep her in this place by protecting that sort of like patience and peace that she has about it. Sometimes she'll push her just a little bit. I think, like, I would say second half season Suki, because first half season Suki, we couldn't really find her footing as well as a friend. But I think that Suki has helped keep her here, and we needed this character. And I think it's so interesting that in the last episode that we get with them in the original series is like a true therapist who's like really making you look at yourself in the mirror. She just met her and she gets a situation. And I think it's really valid. And I find it interesting that in the revival, they make a mockery of therapy when it so clearly was right. I mean, did it end well for Lorelai? It didn't. But it really put a mirror to her in a way that no one ever had before.
No, I totally agree. And she needed it. And Linny delivers it as therapists should, in such a kind, non-judgmental way, where it's just like, you don't really seem to have him. And like, only you can make you wait. So what's the fear of losing?
Yeah. You won't get anything unless you ask him.
Yeah. And she reminds her at the end, some things are just not meant to be, no matter how much we wish they were.
Question. Is that good advice? Is that a good thing to say to someone? Like, because it's very clear she's having, like, it's way deeper than this conversation goes. Is that good advice for someone who, like, to, like, not say, like, have you talked to him about this? Well, no.
Of course, yeah.
What would talking to him look like?
Obviously. I think that the sentiment of this, maybe not the wording, the sentiment of this is what is meant for you will not miss you, which you know is one of my favorite things to say. What is meant for you is already yours. So no matter how badly you want something that's not yours to be yours, it's not going to be yours. And I think that that's what she's saying here.
Yeah.
So I think that in a sense, yes, that is good advice because it's a reminder. It's less advice. It's more like what's not meant to be is not going to be, no matter how much you want it. Like if that's not your person, that's not your person. And I think that everything she's hearing from Lorelai is just like she's kind of, I think she's already said to her, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to talk to him? Because you're the only one making you wait right now.
Only you can make you wait. And she said, or you have to be okay with waiting.
Mm-hmm. Which clearly she's not. This was, you know, she tried to convince herself she was okay with waiting 6 months ago, 3 months ago, however long this has been going on, you know?
Yeah.
And it clearly that's not working. So let's figure out what is working. But what I also found fascinating about the sentiment of some things are just not meant to be, no matter how much we wish they were, is such a foreshadowing moment to Lorelai and Christopher. Because she's what she says to him when they break up in Farewell, My Pet. Like, I want you to be the man I want to want. Or we're going to figure it out. We always try to quote this and we always fail.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
You are the man I want to want. And
that's what it is.
It's so...
Which is like truly the most insulting thing. I like Logan all over again.
But it's exactly how she felt about Max. You are the man I want to want. But I just don't. Oops.
Yeah. Ooh. And we leave the car and we go to London.
We go back to London. Where Rory and Logan are on the couch. This is such a classic, iconic scene. Between the two of them. And that's the thing is that they kind of end up exactly where I think Logan wanted them to end up. Just the two of them. Everything's like the chaos is happening around them, but it's really just about the two of them.
Yeah.
And she's asking him all of these things, you know, what do you want? Can I get you this? And I love that she goes, do you want to try the frug again?
Which is a dance. I never knew
the
that.
frug is a dance. Yeah. Bob Fosse.
I had to look that up, but she's like, I think my cramp has gone away. And there's just something about that.
Me at 12 being like Googling what or ask Jeeves, what's the frug?
What is frug? Do you Yahoo?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just like remember, I don't even think it was that long ago. I think it was like in the last couple of years. I was like, what's the frug? And I was like, oh, they were dancing.
Yeah, the frug. Bob
Do you want to
Fosse.
do it for us?
So good. It's very like in the wrists.
Yeah, do it for us. Thanks,
Join
Sarah.
us on YouTube.
Join us on YouTube for the
for
dance
more dancing
portion.
for the frug. Any and all demonstrations, you can find us at youtube.com/@Gilmore to Say podcast.
Perfect. But yeah, I just love the idea that they had been dancing previously.
Yeah.
How could Logan dance? Got his cane.
Yeah, he was probably just like swaying. I don't know. Yeah, maybe she was doing the frug for him.
His wrists are fine.
His wrists are totally fine.
Totally fine.
But this moment, this like very funny comment, it's so Amy, is cut by, tell me not to go.
He says, tell me not to go. Tell me not to get on that plane. Tell me to blow my father off the paper, the whole Huntsberger destiny. Just tell me I could figure something else out. Just tell me not to go. And she says, without a beat, maybe like one beat.
No, there's a beat.
There's a beat. But there's a beat because she knows what to say. And she doesn't want to say it immediately. She doesn't want to, I like Logan him. She says, well, I can't do that.
I can't do that. How do you feel about that?
It's that same thing of like, I don't think that, first of all, this is not a show about healthy relationships, first of all. So what she has said is accurate to her character and to the tone of the show. Sure, the drama of it all. But I hate this because I have always felt like she needed to be on his team. And she was like, I think that you need to decide. But if you decide not to, I will be here for you. I will support you through this. Like what you think is right for you, I will support you. Like, I don't know, like, you don't have to support dangerous decisions. But the thing is like, she agreed with Mitchum, but he is like telling her, tell me not to go. And I think the thing is like, you don't want to go. Don't go.
Then don't
go. Then don't go. Like, you don't want to go. I think it's like a healthy relationship would have a conversation. would
yes,
be like
100%.
would be like,
but we know that they don't have conversations.
Yeah.
Not even in the car.
No, they don't. The two of them don't have conversations. Like, honestly, I would get back from dinner and be like, ran into your dad. Saw your dad. This is what he said about you.
Do you think that part of the reason that she says I can't do that is because
She
of what
agrees
Mitchum
with him.
says?
She totally thinks he should go. But that's the thing is like,
or thinks that he needs to get out of his environment.
Stop. What is it? He says, stop being a something and become a man or become a man. Whatever.
Stop being a
Whatever
boy
he
and become
says.
a man.
Yeah. Maybe a child, or I forget exactly what the wording is.
But Nancy said, this is how I feel. And we've had this conversation before. Nancy said this perfectly. She said, Logan should not have put that on her. And I agree.
Well, that's the other part of this. Is like, I never feel like she should be like, okay, don't go. Like, it's not her responsibility, to do it.
Tell him not to go.
But I do think like in like a partnership, if like you feel that way, you're like, okay, let's dialogue. Yeah. Let's sidebar. What's up?
But Kenzie brought up a good point. She said, I wish it would have been more, I can't make that decision for you. Yes. But like you said, I support whatever you do.
Like, I can't decide that for you.
Yeah,
do you want to go?
That's not my decision to make, but do you want to go? But I do love the simplicity of, I can't do that.
And the thing is like, I think that the reason why I love it is because it's so simple. We move along. We know he's going to go. But I think the thing is like, I can't do that. You have to.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
I think that the thing is like the sad, tragic version of poor little rich boy is like, no one's ever told him he could do anything else.
Yeah.
He just wants someone to believe in him. And I think that that's the hard thing here is like, she doesn't. Like, I think at the end of the day, she believes Mitchum is right. That he's like, unfortunately has like a bad practice about doing it, but he's in the right. He does need to grow up. She doesn't believe in him. She doesn't think he could stay here and do it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not team Logan. Maybe I'm not team Rory for Logan. I don't know. But I think that's
is when Haley decided she wasn't team Logan anymore.
I almost wore my team Logan sweatshirt and I ripped it off. No, I just really think that this is like one of those moments that I love the drama of it and like definitely not put that on her. But I just think at the end of the day, no one's ever believed in Logan before. And so he's always going to be that tragic character who just is strung along by the whims of other people because he just believes in them and is a little bit of a coward sometimes. Like in this moment, he's not saying like, I don't want to go. I'm not going to go. I can't do this. He's saying, tell me not to go. Like he is saying, tell me not to go in the sense that like, I need someone else to make the decision for me, but also in the sense of like, tell me I could figure something else out. Like believe in me for one moment. Just tell me I could do something else.
Yeah.
So I think that there's like this balance of like toxicity in the suggestion of tell me not to go, while at the same time being like, just be the one person who says I could do something else.
Who says that I can do something else. Yeah.
Which you won't be. Which is sad.
Yeah, it is.
But also a beautiful moment. I love
necessary. A beautiful moment. The shot between the two of them after he just has this very vulnerable moment with her. Probably something he's wanted to ask her for a long time. He's probably a little drunk and he's like, tell me not to go. And as soon as she goes, I can't do that, he kind of shakes it off and is like, all right.
You know what's really beautiful here is he's saying, tell me not to go. Tell me I can figure something else out. What does that sound like to you? What's one of Logan's most iconic lines? It's your choice, Ace.
It's your choice. Yeah.
It's not her choice.
It's not her choice.
It's your choice. And he's never going to be the one to make it. All he sees is one door and he's being pushed through it. I have no choice. You try living without options.
I have no choice.
He does have options. He's just not going to choose them.
Yeah. He chooses not to choose them.
He chooses not to choose them. It's not your choice, Logan.
It's very interesting given the next scene we see the two of them.
Yeah.
But we'll get there in a minute.
But they kiss. Sweet.
It's very cute. It's very like classic Gilmore Girls.
It's very, he's not going to feel the feelings that he has.
No.
As a result of that.
He can't.
No.
You can tell that he's a little...
He shut them all down.
Bit avoiding it.
He boxed them up and sent them to London already.
So then we go to Luke's for what is about to be a very, very, very pivotal moment in the entire series. But before we get that, I love that Child Troubadour number 2 takes on the role of Kirk here by asking Luke to only charge him for a half a cup of coffee. It's so Kirk.
It's great.
It's so him being like, but
Toast.
why? I only drank half a cup.
Yeah. Or it's like,
come on, man.
when he increased the price of toast.
Yes, exactly. That's how it's feeling.
Yeah.
But Lorelai bursts into the diner and he's like, I have been looking for you everywhere. I kind of wish we had gotten a gauge on how much time it's been.
Yeah. Where have you been?
So only been a couple of days. Like, I assume so, because if he couldn't get a hold of her for like a week, I think he'd be like genuinely like calling the police. He'd be calling officer whatever his name is.
Long.
I don't think it has either.
He talked to her yesterday.
Oh, was that just yesterday?
It had to have been. He talked to her on the phone. Didn't he talk to her on the phone yesterday being like, oh, well, Michelle's milk. Oh, I didn't know about Michelle's milk.
But that was before Emily got her botched eye surgery and she's already fine. So some time has had to have passed. I just don't know how much. And in the Gilmore universe, we never know how much time
it doesn't make any sense because she wakes up at Suki's after Emily's surgery. She wakes up that morning like she just slept on Suki's couch the night before in this episode.
You're so right. So I guess Emily's turnaround was really fast.
Really fast. She was only going to be blind for like 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Anyway.
Right?
Guess we're just going to bypass
been a day.
that.
It was yesterday.
It's been literally one day. Okay. So he hasn't been able to find her, which arguably if Brett went missing for a day, I'd call the police. I'd be like, where are you?
But other people have seen him.
Sure, that's fair. But I'd also be like panicked. I'd be like, where have you been? Because clearly, I know we said this earlier that like Luke doesn't know that anything's going on. I don't think Luke knows what the problem is. He knows something's happening. He hasn't been able to find her. That's abnormal. It's not that he's just accepting.
Roll my eyes at him.
Yeah,
you
but
don't
I'm
know
just
what
like,
the
you
problem
clearly don't know
is?
what the problem is, which is very sad. Hi. You're the problem.
The problem. It's you.
It's you. Yeah.
You seen any mirrors lately?
So
but yeah, she comes in.
She comes in
the diner.
And he's like, where have you been? And she goes, let's elope. She is manic.
Where have you been? Let's elope. That makes sense. That's a proper response to that.
Yeah. She is on another level.
But this is where she truly is. And this is where that this is not going to end well, because no one's conversation has ever ended well in this manner. They're doing like what Rory and Logan should have done. Say words, have conversation.
100%.
No. But this is where she talks about, we'll get married, drive to Maryland, and you can move in with me. And I'm like, oh, so this was like he hadn't even fully moved in, which in the last episode, he was putting groceries in Luke's apartment fridge.
In his apartment fridge, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I said his Luke's apartment.
His Luke's apartment fridge. It's a very, very special, very unique Luke's apartment fridge.
Yes.
But she does say to him, if it's between you and the purple wallpaper, I pick you. I pick you. And it's because they had an argument over the purple wallpaper.
But she says that after they go outside. I don't want to put it off anymore. I love you. I love you, Luke.
Yeah.
Which is the first time we hear her say I love you to someone other than to Rory.
Of course, yeah.
Wait, do we hear her say I love you to Rory?
I don't know.
I actually don't know.
But this is the first time she said it to a man.
To a man.
Which she's already admitted to Lenny. Like, I don't think I've ever loved anybody truly until I loved Luke. And, she's declaring that on the show. I love you. I love you, Luke. And that's huge.
I love you, Luke. I love you. Do you love me? It's between
Doesn't he say, do you care about me at all? And he says, of course I do.
Yeah, she says it a bunch of different ways. But if it's between you and the purple wallpaper, I pick you.
I pick you.
I didn't care about the purple wallpaper. You didn't like the purple wallpaper.
Yeah.
But this is like such a beautifully written fight between a couple.
It is. And the thing is that like it shifts in the middle because Luke is so confused, which I'm like, buddy, where you been? Yeah. But he is concerned. You can tell he's like, wait, what? No, of course I love you. Like reassuring her and like, it's going to happen. I just need more time. And he's like, I need to try to figure things out with April, try married. And he's like,
Yeah.
What?
Well,
And she's like,
Anna said it'd be okay.
Anna said, and that is when things take a shift. You weren't supposed to talk to her.
Anna.
I was so angry when he said that. And then when she was like, I know, I'm sorry. No, I'm not apologizing anymore. For months, I have been skulking and lurking in the shadows. And I was like, fuck yeah, girl. You tell him. You fucking tell him.
An opinion like I'm Clarence Thomas or something, which like, okay, Amy. Like slay the Supreme Court. And because he says it's how April fits into our lives. I'm not waiting. It's now or never.
I don't like ultimatums. Well, I don't like Mondays.
But they come around eventually.
Yeah. And he says, I can't just jump like this, which is so interesting because, Logan, of course, doesn't say this to Luke that we know of. Would have loved that outtake.
No,
just Logan in Luke's face, like people.
But who years. Does tell Lorelai to jump is Luke.
Yeah.
In the ins and outs of ins.
Yeah. He does say that.
You just jump.
You just jump. And he says, I can't just jump like this. And she goes, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And stares at him. That's her way of saying, well, then we're done.
Yeah. She says, I'm not waiting. It's now or never. And I have to go. And I really do think at the end of the day with this scene, I truly, like, whether Luke is right, whether Lorelai is right, this is a beautiful scene between the two of them.
It is. It really is. It's been building towards this the entire season. Well, the entire second half of this season has been building towards this moment where she is going to like have this catharsis and finally let everything that she's feeling out. And was it the best way to go about it is definitely up for debate. I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel this way, but it was necessary.
Yes.
For me, when I started just losing it. I mean, I was watching this scene and I was crying for her because you can tell that like everything around her and everything that she has wanted in like the desires she shared with Linny about like, I am ready to get married. I want another kid. I don't want to wait anymore. I'm not happy and I feel crappy all of the time.
Yeah.
Like she has been tiptoeing around one of the most important people in her life for months. And she has felt like such an afterthought and he has treated her
for
like such an afterthought
for
so long. And she has felt so stifled. She feels like she can't tell him how she's feeling. And that is such a terrible place to be in. I've been in relationships like that and not with people that I was engaged to, obviously. But with people that I was like,
I misheard that for a second. I was like, what?
Excuse me? But with people that I was hoping to, spend my future with. And so I can't imagine like knowing this is your person and feeling so confident, like this is my person, and them shutting you out like this is so, it just has to be such a blow to your like nervous system. And I feel like for her that, though it was very painful, this was probably a massively cathartic moment. But where I really started to lose it in watching this,
because like you were crying,
like I was sobbing. I literally wrote at the bottom of this in parentheses, just so you all know I am sobbing.
Thank you so much for letting us know.
She walks away and Sam Phillips is there playing live.
Sam, did you really have to?
Like, why did you have to do that to us?
This is such a good song too.
Yeah. It's so good. And it's like that is so fucking poetic. That's Sam Phillips, who's like arguably the wrote the orchestrations to Gilmore Girls. Yeah. Like basically wrote the entire soundtrack to Gilmore Girls, is playing live as she walks away from this person that we as a fandom have been rooting for her to be with this entire series.
Yeah. Well, and I'll mention too, is like, this isn't really a show that has songs playing like this often on the like tail end of an emotional moment. Mm-hmm. Very Grey's Anatomy.
So true.
So this is like such a different version of like, she can't say anything else to him, and so Sam Phillips is going to take it. It's almost like she's like, take it away, Sam. As
take it away, Sam Phillips.
Away. Like that's all she can really do, is because for the first time, like we're like getting this like alternative troubadour to her, like to emote for her, which is very fascinating. But I do have to point out something that Gabby said over in our chat, which was like, hey Luke, remember I'm all in.
Seriously, but he's not, and he hasn't been.
He hasn't been for.
And he needed this splash of
admittedly.
Cold water to the face to recognize that he's
that
not.
Would have helped. the
What?
situation for her to have had water.
A glass of cold water.
Toss
Maybe.
it on him. Definitely not
Maybe.
coffee.
I wish she had thrown that at him, though. I wish she had
Water?
said, like,
Oh, no, I'm
no.
all in. Sorry.
I'm all in. Can you imagine? I kind of wish she did. Honestly, he
Just
deserves
thrown
the
it.
water at this point.
Yeah.
But I really wish she had been like, you're all in. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Hop into the
I am all
horoscope.
in.
Yeah.
It would have been really poetic for her to do that. And I wish that had gotten brought up.
I think it would have been too on the nose. But I just don't think Luke has been all in for quite some time. And it's hard because I get it, Luke, but it's also, this is her. This is your girl.
It just broke my heart when she was like, I asked you to marry me and you said yes.
Yeah.
You said yes. And it's just like so many women, because it's so traditional for men to ask women to marry them, like don't ever really say things like that. I asked you to marry me and you said yes. It's usually the other way around. So that statement was also very powerful. And I just like, oh, what a heartbreaking moment.
Can I break your heart again? Nina over in the chat said something that's actually obliterated me, and I haven't had a thought since she said it, which was that Sam Phillips began and ended their relationship with reflecting light. Nina, you're officially removed. You have been cut off. Please remove from the chat.
I didn't even think about that.
Me
It is
neither.
so poetic that they brought Sam Phillips in to play off their relationship because that's unfair. That's not
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
No,
Genuinely, thank you.
No,
that's a
thank you.
beautiful
But like
fact.
also, oof, my mascara is in my eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't condone this, but I fully understand why Lorelai went to Chris. Knock, knock. It's Lorelai.
It's never Lorelai.
Knock, knock. It's Lorelai.
Yeah.
I understand why she did it.
Behind door number 4.
You always
Chris.
have my back. I always have your back and you will always have mine, is what she says to him. And he does.
He does.
He does.
He does.
Reliable. It sucks. Do I love this? No. But she has been feeling so ostracized from love for months.
Why did you have to phrase it like that?
She has.
She really has. And like, okay, can I also say, not only did like this thing come about with Luke, like mid-season, it was all preceded by being on the outs with Rory. So like Lorelai has lived in this like kind of painful like fight or flight mentality with the like most important people in her life for this entire season. The fact that she's been able to crack jokes, my girl, really just speaks to her. But yeah, she gets one person and another person leaves. And Luke's still been there, but not really. He hasn't been the same Luke, which you can now see, like being like someone who has watched season 6 as much as I have, why I'm not like a big Luke person.
Luke fan. I understand.
Because this is the Luke that I've watched so much. Like rewatching it, of course, like in the way that we have, definitely endeared me a lot more to Luke. But this version of Luke, I'm like, meh, who are you? He's the one that needs to go to London and become a man.
Correct.
Sit next to Logan on the plane.
Correct.
That was them flying on the airplane.
Nancy just said the most wholesome thing, and I'm obsessed. She goes, "Why couldn't Lorelai and Chris just cuddle and not sleep together?"
I know. Why couldn't they just watch
I'm
like 13
so with
going
you,
on 30
Nance.
or whatever
just
the
like
version
watched
is?
a movie and been like, I just
2006.
want to be held. But I think with these two, there's just such underlying feelings. I get it. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it. I don't think I could personally.
Well, we don't know
that.
what's happened yet.
Well, of course, I know. That's true.
She just comes in.
She just comes in
be alone
and
right
she
now.
just does not want to be alone right now. And I know when Brett Thiel and I watch this together, he's going to go, no. Or he's also going to go, I knew it.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
He thinks Luke's going to pack up, gone fishing.
Gone fishing. Can I tell you, this next scene is where I lost it.
This is the one for me. I have been deprived of this scene. This is my scene. This is the scene. This is the moment. These are my these are my people.
Because like Luke and Lorelai, it's just like you felt it coming because obviously this is also where like my relationship with Brett comes into play, because like when you're with somebody who you feel this way about and like you watch something and like you put those emotions onto it, like I'm just envisioning waking up. Brett wakes me up like this all the time.
Nancy forces Brett to go to London.
He wakes you up. He wakes me up. Hey, I'm leaving. You can't come with me. But there is something to be said, like when you're in a relationship like reminds you of this, like it just hits you in the feels, it punches you in the heart. So Rory wakes up, he's dressed, and
Why are you dressed?
Where are you dressed?
And the bags are in the car. I
love the way she wakes up here. She looks so beautiful for just waking up. She goes,
I know,
just grab shoes and coat. No shoes, just coat.
Yeah.
She's so cute. And he's like, no.
She says, I have to go with you to the gate. They won't let you go to the gate. Then I'll wave to you at the metal detectors.
That would be me.
Yeah. And
100%.
She's like, I have to go with you. And then he says, truly one of the most heartbreaking things that has ever been said on the show, which is, if you come with me, I won't get on the plane. Do you think she should have gone?
She realizes, I mean, I would have forced my way into the car, but the moment that she realized, I literally would have been like, I'm coming with you.
You're hanging on to the side.
I'm hanging onto the side. I'm hanging onto the bumper of this car.
You're in the trunk, banging on it. You kidnapped yourself.
It's the moment that she realizes that this is the last time she's going to see him.
For a while. Not ever.
Not ever, but for a really long time. And that's hard.
Yeah. Till like episode 5 of season 7. And it's like...
Till like episode 5, man.
Quite a while. But all the things she's saying are holidays in November and December, because it's going to be a while.
Guy Fawkes Day. They love Guy Fawkes Day on the show.
They love Guy Fawkes Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And she said they're so far away. And I think that what gets me the most about this is after their conversation last night is, tell me not to go. And she says, I can't do that. And he literally like gives her his own ultimatum almost of like, if you come with me, I won't get on the plane. And it's like, this is another opportunity almost, or it's like me being honest with you that like, I don't want to go. You are the only thing that could keep me here. And I've decided I'm going to go. But if you do come with me,
I will not get on the plane.
I won't go. I literally can't leave you.
It's so like, it's beautiful.
It's when he said that, I paused my TV. I just laid my head back on the pillow and I was like, no. Like, I think that's one of my favorite lines in the whole series, because it's just, I think I'm like having these flashbacks to early days of Gilmore to Say when I said I wanted to tattoo it on my forehead.
And that's when we came up with the idea to call our hats forehead tattoos.
Yes. Because I wanted to put like, if you come with me, I won't get on the plane. And I wanted to wear it on an airplane, but everyone was like, maybe not.
Maybe not do that. Come with me, I won't get on the plane. Why? What do you have?
Who's supposed to be with you? Who's your companion? But
yeah, it's just so sad. And her realizing that she's not.
Her reaction to it.
Oh my God.
Is that she's not going. This is where she says goodbye. She wasn't ready for goodbye.
No. Which
much
is
like
worst.
You when you opened the DVD booklet and it said goodbye.
And it said goodbye, and I just wanted to like sob into the DVD booklet. Yeah, no, this is hard. And she
just starts crying. And can I say, this is some of the best crying Alexis Bledel has ever done in her career. Ever.
Like, we've come so far from and I love coffee. And I think it's because that was supposed to be funny. This is genuinely such an emotional moment between the two of them, and they do it so well.
So good. This is incredible scene work between Matt and Alexis.
So good, the two of them.
As was Scott and Lauren's, but just in a very different way.
Very different. And I cried while I watched it, mostly because this just feels like a goodbye to the writing, and we've been building to this moment, and I feel for her, but I just I don't know why this scene it just hit me so much harder.
Like a truck.
Like literally like a truck.
It was, to me, when he said that, I was like, ooh, but her reaction to it was truly what got me, because she's just crying and he's just reminding her all the ways he has like taken care of her, that like the rent has been paid, the car service is still there. Like, I've set forth these things to continue to take care of you in a way that I'm able to while I'm away.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like if it was 2025, we would be texting the entire way. I would FaceTime you while you're like at the airport.
There's so much more technology now. And they do touch on that in the next season.
Wait, does he have a sidekick? He can't text her? What's his texting plan like, Mr. Rich?
Well, but they end up as texting, you know, sexting and texting.
Yeah.
You know, in the next season. So it does, you know, there is enough technology for those kinds of things, but it's tough. This is hard. This is a parting in a very different way than what we just saw from Luke and Lorelai. And it's just so beautifully done.
Partings. These are the partings. But yeah, and as they're standing there, he's like giving her this like opportunity to like, you know,
say something.
And she doesn't. He says, what? She's trying to come up with something great to say. And all she can think of is say hi to William and Harry for me, which dates this so specifically.
So much. So true.
We would never. They don't say hi to each other anymore, it seems like.
That's true. Unfortunately, I don't think they even say hello.
But it's a beautiful decision to say this like silly thing because he like laughs and says, I love you, Ace.
Ooh. Which is so endearing. It's so real.
That was very hard to say out loud. I didn't expect that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And as he's walking away, she's just losing
hobbling away.
As he hobbles away. Okay, I have some thoughts on that in a second. But I do have to point out my second favorite parallel in this episode is that Lorelai and Logan have the same parting line and last line in this episode, which is I have to go.
I have to go. Yeah.
Which is just woof. Gets ya. Like, and it just feels like it's reiterating both that Lorelai had to go, Logan had to go, and so did Amy and Dan. And they're like speaking to that as well, that like they had to go. And we didn't want them to go, but these people all had to make their partings from us and from their counterparts in this episode.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It is. Okay, but now I want to talk about the logistics.
Okay.
Hobbling.
Yeah, talk to me about the hobble.
So he gets his bag, still so confused why this man has a literal cast with a cane. Really, really seems like he needs crutches.
Yeah.
It's going to mess with the vibe of the show, for sure. I totally get it, y'all. So he walks out the door, closes the door. Rory makes a split-second decision. She's holding herself together, crying. She's like, no, I'm not going to let him just walk out the door. I want to see him off the elevator. She sprints to the door. He's already at the elevator.
Yeah. Boom, boom. It's like giving Willy Wonka.
It was the sound effect. It was the movement.
It was giving Willy Wonka.
No, but like literally like the determination in your eyes, the like movement you were making, the sound effect you made. Killed me. But it's like literally like how did he move so quickly? I made like 17 TikToks about this in 2021.
I don't
of like how did this man get so far down the hallway so quickly,
fast
enough to turn around when she opened the door? And I'm like, did you have a motor scooter?
Yeah.
Was this like a moving sidewalk like at the airport? Like what got you there so fast?
Yeah, the people mover at the airport.
Yeah, exactly. Something happened and he got there so fast. But I've always questioned that. I think he was faking it. I think he faked this whole accident.
The whole injury. He was never sick. He just wanted to get back together with Rory.
He was never hurt.
He wanted the sympathy.
He paid off that hospital.
You're all in on it.
But he had a cast on. Like, Sarah, I will never. That was a core memory for me. Can you do that? So glad it was on camera. But yeah. So I love that Caitlin said this was.
Remember what I did.
You're gonna have to watch it back. You're gonna watch this later. But I have to note that Caitlin in the chat said this was the first TikTok topic I saw of Haley's.
Really? I've never seen this. That's so funny because like usually when you talk about your TikToks, I can recall them. I'm like, oh yeah, the one with this.
This was probably like Haley has been harping on the fact that Logan walked down a hallway rather quickly for 6 days now. Let's keep scrolling. This was thematic to my TikTok for quite a while because I was just like, because when I went back and saved them when TikTok was going to get banned and then it was gone for 16 minutes, I was like, oh, I talked about this a lot because the other thing I talk about, which I know we had some comic relief for a moment, let's bring it back to the sobbing. She waves at him and you know what he does? He looks away. He does not wave back. And there were some people who came back at me like, yo, his hands are full. They're not. He puts his cane in the hand that has his bag and he presses the number on the elevator and he has a full empty hand that he could give her a little wave.
Did you not like that he didn't wave at her?
I can't. I can't decide. She's like, what would have been better? The wave or because he goes, yeah, like it's painful to see her wave at him. Or would it have been better to be wave back at her?
I don't know.
Like, would have been sad.
For those of you who are with us, who are not with us on YouTube,
we're doing practice waves.
We're waving. It's like windshield wipers.
Is it like a little?
It kind of sounded like like a knife, and that's not what's happening here. It's like windshield wipers.
What if he was just like,
bye,
XOXO.
No, I think it was just he was keeping it together, and she wasn't. And I think that he just was. Honestly, I envisioned that those elevator doors closed and he started sobbing. That's my fan fiction.
Wait, that was the shortest fan fiction I've ever experienced, and I hate it. Ooh.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Okay.
POV, the elevator doors close, and he just fucking loses it because he couldn't lose it in front of her.
Okay, you know what? To end the wave conversation, I like that he didn't wave. Like
okay. Thank you for putting a pin in that.
Yeah, I just feel like that scene as it was perfect, except for the part where he turbo walked down the hallway. I imagine he got in that car and Serena Vanderwoodson the fucked out of that window. You know, head against the window, looking out.
Oh yeah,
tears down his face.
Tears down his face.
Just pondering life itself.
I don't know. I actually envision him like falling apart in the elevator and like it's
Sucking
like one of those moments where like he falls apart in the elevator and he's like losing it, and then the elevator doors open again and he is composed.
Zips it back up. I don't know. I don't know much about the emotions of this man.
It's true. We don't ever really see him like fully lose it.
Yeah. Would have loved to see him lose it.
Me too. So we go to the last scene, which is a full circle moment to the beginning of this episode where Lorelai is laying. She is wide awake. She is clearly naked in bed. And we hear Christopher's voice.
Gigi is the one
Gigi
that
points out. Yeah, she goes, I don't like to wear my nightgown when I'm sick. Because she says, is she sick?
Gigi.
Girl.
The girl loves gossip.
She's like, I need to be in the know. Where's Eastside Tilly? Let's talk. She, we're ending.
Gigi called Eastside Tilly. She wasn't wearing a nightgown. I
got the tea for you.
XOXO, Gigi.
Gigi. Wow.
It wasn't Dorota. It was Gigi.
It was Gigi. So anyway, I really think that this was brilliant. This beginning, like this being the opening and ending is fucking brilliant. It was such a beautiful way for Amy to remind us that like she is so good at what she does. We're not going to see something like this for a very long time. And
really again, because like I just feel like even tonally in the revival, she kind of loses where she exists in the show, admittedly.
Yeah, you're right.
And so this is kind of that last little button that we get. And to have it like be like her quote unquote friends' kids being hushed in the background because she's clearly going through something and like ushering them out of the room. The difference though, remember earlier when I was like, you can't make me hate Chris and Lorelai? You made me.
Well, Chris goes back to being, when he puts that arm around her, I'm like.
That arm, I'm like, oh no. Because when he has his little robe on, I just would have liked if he would have sat on the bed, you know, just sat there.
No, they needed to establish for us.
I know. But I'm just trying to make it so that I feel less of like a nauseous feeling at the end of this episode. That like, it just is hard. When he slides in the bed and he puts his arm over her, I'm like, executive producer Amy Sherman Palladino.
Oh, and that part really killed me. Was like seeing her name for the last time. That was really tough. Yeah.
What Caitlin said is he should have ushered Gigi out, and we see Lorelai having to sit alone with the weight of sleeping with Chris.
Ooh,
and everything she said. Would have loved that.
Also
that sort of
been
parallel
really good. Because she
like getting them out of the room.
Yeah, like getting them out of the room, and then she's left alone, sitting with the weight of the fact that she has to have this conversation with Luke. And
now she has had it, and she's also kind of ruined any prospect of getting back together.
Yeah.
Ooh, would have liked that. But the arm around solidified things for us in a way that we needed things solidified.
Totally. And that's partings.
We have parted.
How do you feel?
Emotional. I still love this episode. Still my fave.
Yeah. Still so good.
Not to bury the lead 2.5 hours later. But yeah, still fave episode.
It's a great episode. It's a really good episode.
I was worried because I hadn't seen it in a while that you were going to be like, yeah, I liked this. This was good. But when you came in crying, I was like...
Yeah, when I came in and instantly started sobbing upon reading the box set, I was like, yep. Celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I cried. The whole...
It's the confetti falls down.
I cried the whole, like, from Luke and Lorelai's ultimatum.
From purple wallpaper.
From purple wallpaper. Genuinely. Purple wallpaper is where I started to be like, oh my God. And then it just kept going when Sam Phillips showed up, and then Logan and Rory, I fucking lost it. And it's just... It's a great episode. I mean, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. There are no notes here.
Oh my gosh.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. It's just an incredibly written episode. It was directed so well. Like I said, the nuance of like incorporating the town and giving the nod to those stand-ins and all the work that they had done to be just as much a part of the show as every other person on that set. The storytelling is really, really beautiful. I just, no notes for me.
Same. And I know that people say this all the time, that like Amy blew up her own show with this episode.
I don't think she did. She would have done this whether she was carrying the torch of season 7, 8 forward or not.
I think this was too.
This was
the ending. This was the ending of season 6. And I just...
And if we ever on, we can ask, like, had you not had... like signed on for a season, had you signed on for a season 7 and 8, would this have been the last episode? Maybe she would have felt differently, like, or no, it wouldn't have been the last episode, but this story was coming. Maybe this wouldn't have been the last episode. Maybe the troubadour thing wouldn't have been in there. Like, there are certain aspects to this that I'm sure wouldn't have existed. Yeah. This was clearly a send-off episode. It's called Partings.
Yeah, but I do wonder if like this episode would have been exactly how it was and just... would have segued into 7, because so much of what the troubadour represents really helps like solidify the spiraling that's occurring in this episode. But but I don't know. I never agree with anyone that says that she blew up her own show, because I think this episode is beautiful.
Yeah.
And like and I know that it's dramatic, and I know that a lot of people don't come here for the drama. That is actually what I've been here for this whole time.
Plot twist.
But
I've been here this whole
like,
time.
if you're a season 2 girly, I understand why this episode feels like an explosion. But
it does. As a season 2 girly, I can tell you that like I still have a really deep appreciation for this episode, despite the fact that it's not giving me the warm and cozy vibes. It is like when you really pick this episode apart, and again, not just the episode itself, but what it means to the fandom and to the lore of the series and to Amy. It's just so beautiful.
Beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, unique, never been seen before.
Never been seen before.
Is it that Lady Gaga says all of those words?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about the cups of coffee because we didn't get any cups of coffee in this episode. So we will talk about the coffee count, and we will talk about really our feelings on season 6 in our season 6 recap. Which, if you're joining us on air, if you're not on Patreon and are listening to this episode on a Tuesday, then this will be the following Tuesday. I'm really excited to really get into our faves, our least faves, because we had a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts on season 6 as a whole.
You and me with opinions? No.
Opinions? Us? And then we're also going to start diving into season 7, which I'm really trying to find a way to make it fun because, like, I don't want to lose the joy for this show. I don't want people on Patreon to be like, oh, we're on season 7. And everybody, you know, we always say we don't consider this to be like real canon because of the circumstances that we're talking about here. We call it very expensive fan fiction. But I do want to find a way to still make it fun and not feel like such a slog because season 7 can feel like a slog.
You know, though, I do think we're going to have a fun time going through season 7 because I think it's going to be plot hole central.
Plot hole city.
I'm really interested to see what we really like, admittedly, because I think in past seasons, it's like, ooh, I want to see what Tara doesn't like about this. Admittedly, it's the other way around.
I know. It's so
the
true.
exact other way. Opposite day.
Opposite day.
I want to see what we love about season 7. And I don't want to go into this being like, okay, let's be haters.
No.
Season 7 haters.
We're going to criticize the show because that's what we have done for the last 6 seasons. We're not.
Absolutely.
We don't let the fact that we love the show and the episodes we love and the seasons we love, the characters we love, we don't let that stop us from criticizing the show. So it's going to happen. But I do want to find joy and love in
And I think that we probably will. There are some season 7 episodes I love, like truly, like have a great time.
Excited.
Maybe I don't remember them as well as I think I do, but there's some like I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
but
I love that episode. I love. I'd rather be in Philadelphia. I like. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's marvelous. I'm excited. There might be some that I really, really love, and I'm like, wow, I very much enjoyed that episode. Episodes surprise me all the time.
We'll see.
But I am sad to bid farewell to season 6, not because I loved the season, but because of what it represents for the series as a whole.
To quote Taylor Swift, "So long, London." Just mad as hell because I loved this place.
So our next episode on Patreon is going to be recapping season 7. So if you'd like to join us on Patreon and for that journey,
The long morrow,
feel free to join us there. You can find the link to that in our show notes if you're not already a part of our Patreon. But if you're with us on air, our next episode is going to be us recapping season 6.
and we'll have more to say on that in the next episode.